there. But sieging going to be very important for Linfeng, most likely, using those explosive charges on this first turret. Meanwhile, Sasa, if he gets underneath, if he gets the push, he could actually dive some of the turrets as well with the Stormbringer. So a lot of interesting things to follow as we are here on the Abyss. Again, first to either 2 kills before the ring, 1 kill after, or just that first turret.
Okay. So we get to take a look at some of the summoners and keystones here. Double press the attack, which does make sense. But Sasa not having flash feels a bit weird to me. It makes sense for someone like Linfeng because you could literally just jump away. But not having that flash or even like a snowball available to you as the Volibear makes it, I think, pretty tough to ever actually interact with Tristana early on.
I feel like the double Dorons here, specifically from Sasa, going for the shield and the ring, signifies that he's not really trying to go for an early first item. He wants to just kind of fight on cooldown here. Without that rocket jump available, he can do a lot of big chunk damage here. Now Linfeng actually jumping on top of Sasa. I think he got himself a reset there on the jump as well. So he's doing himself a lot of favors here with the poke.
Yeah, as soon as you get those 5 stacks of the explosive charge going off, you get a free reset of your W. So it makes sense to see that. I wonder how much more we're going to be getting those kinds of trade patterns from Linfeng, because as soon as Sasa has no E, you can just do this. Yeah, he has no shield. This is just a death.
Ignite is procced. Hold on. The barrier from Sasa is big, though. The Volibear actually winning out on this one. Both players under 100 HP. That Doran shield doing some work for Sasa as well, as now we're playing on a nice edge.
Yeah, Linfeng, you are not allowed to get close to this minion wave. The lightning strikes passive from Sasa makes this very difficult to quantify going up, but Linfeng can just cut him off from the health pack.
Oh, wow.
Sasa, just take your recall, bro. Just take your recall. He's going to push the wave anyway. You're just going to have to catch this wave. It doesn't matter.
Okay, but now we play Tristana mode, though, which is that those plates are going to fall pretty quickly, especially if you get an explosive shot onto it. So it is a cannon mate wave, which might try to deter it a little bit. And actually, maybe Linfeng misplays this a little bit. Maybe should have just gone for the wave instead. Does get himself a plate. And we'll likely push this one in and just head back to base.
-2, -3. Okay, come on, Linfeng.
Hey, it's not 100 CS anymore. It's fine. As long as you get the cannon, it's okay.
Go. Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Okay, I think this is definitely just complete conjecture here. Why does the LPL not love us here? I think they hate me in particular. Yesterday, we had the timer for when the Ring of Fire was going to go up. It's just gone. Like usually, we try to put like our own like fake timer, but they have like an actual official one, and I was excited because that means that's one less thing our prod people have to do during the 1v1s. But
I didn't even know. So yesterday they had an actual timer up there.
Yeah, they put in the top right. It was a really tiny one. It was kind of cute, honestly, and I just love the fact we had an official one because I can't believe we are in March, January, March, April. We're in April and we have no official timer for a 1v1 side select we were going to be doing for the whole year.
Yeah. I guess were they gonna do the 1v1s before the Fearless announcement too?
Yes, we were supposed to do 1v1s for side select, even if it wasn't Fearless, because we were gonna have best of 3s, best of 5s, right? So
maybe no excuse then. Yeah, I guess you're right. Jeez.
Right games.
We're just gonna have to guess. Hey, it's okay. It seems like it's been around 4 minutes or so, right? Don't you think? I don't know.
This probably.
Yeah,
have
4
you been
minute
counting minion waves?
I have not. We can do some mental math here though. As it does, Sasa has a Warden's Mail, so we're not gonna be fighting for a while. I don't think.
No, I don't think this is a very real fight here. Also, I think Linfeng's going for Blade of the Ruin King, which is interesting tech. Did just get nerfed on this patch, or a couple patches ago for ranged champions in particular. So we'll see how that actually ends up going on through. If you're wondering, what the hell are these two guys talking about? There's a Ring of Fire that is summoned at 7.5 minutes, and it just turns into
Wow, Sasa gets Buster Shotted pretty far backwards, but not actually underneath the turret, and so it's just going to be a trade of those ultimates there. One summoner spell advantage for Linfeng. He still has his barrier that will be important, and now Sasa does not have the Stormbringer to go for a potential turret dive, so he's going to have to go back to base as well.
Graves, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it matters. I think that Stormbringer pass. I think that Stormbringer ultimate is going to be right back up. Okay, so we see it's 130 seconds, so we've got 2 minutes before it's up. It'll most likely be available before that Ring of Fire. So we need to see. Sasa has an incredibly OP build to deal with Linfeng. You already noted the Warden's Mail. I'm looking at those boots now, plate steel caps. Good luck, Linfeng.
This is like what you play. This is like your build when you play Malphite into like a melee AD top laner,
Yep.
and you make them hate their life. But now it actually makes sense because there's only physical damage that's going to be dealt against you here. That is the Blade of the Ruined King that you were talking about. So if you want a little bit of tank shredding, that does actually potentially help Linfeng a little bit. As we're getting closer and closer to that Ring of Fire closing in, like once we get into that like all-out situation, like do you think that's when Sauce feels like he'll have an advantage with this extra armor, or?
So, he basically, if I'm looking at this from Sasa's perspective, is he needs to preemptively dodge or find. There we go. There's the timer. Okay, so it's when we have a minute left. Good to know. He's going to have to somehow buffer using the Stormbringer when Tristana uses the Buster Shot, because you're unstoppable while you're in midair, and so that would be the only way he's able to prevent being forcibly exited out of the Ring of Fire and made to take damage. So that'll be an interesting piece of tech. He could also just go for a stun and then try to go for an all-in. I just think it's pretty difficult.
Okay, little buffer here. The ring is closing soon, so if they want to try to get a kill off here, that now would be the time.
Wait.
But
okay, but
so
basically they need to. So Linfeng's going to clear this wave. He's going to immediately recall. The Ring of Fire doesn't immediately contract when it spawns, but there's just no Buster Shot now. It's down for 80 seconds.
We did see Cream actually basically 100-0 the tower like very easily, even on like not an 80 carry. So that's not going to happen here. But we got relatively close. As now here comes the Ring of Fire. Linfeng is gonna have to base soon. Not just yet. Asasa actually did not even get the full of his HP bar back, but now he knows Linfeng doesn't have the ultimate, and so
yeah,
we'll be able to force him back.
Linfeng hit the he's not doing it. He's not recalling. He's just gonna say,
okay.
I'm just gonna fight him here.
Look at it to Bramble Vest too. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is so difficult. All right, the Ring of Fire is on its way.
Remember, this is for side select in this series. Can be very important. Blue side has been very strong on this patch, very highly prioritized for all these teams. So that's what Sasa and Linfeng are fighting for. And Linfeng's not going to have his Buster Shot for this 1v1 as the ring will close in. He gets himself a reset. The Ignite's already proccing. Still, Sasa has his ultimate. Gets a big chunk of healing. And this Tristana is just tickling the Volley Bear at this point. There comes the stun. He's going to use the Stormbringer to try to drive back. There comes the barrier as well. Linfeng just doesn't do any sort of damage. And Sasa wins the 1v1 for LGD. YCX, like these are all players who are in their first years of the LPL, being able to fully understand all those concepts, going to be very important for them. As we are back into draft for this game number 1. Looks like that last ban intended to be Callista, and now we open up that gambit once again.
Neferi, Aurora, Vi. Any 3 of these champions I'm fine with. Gwen, potentially there. So what are OMG's options here? I think while in theory you could be taking a champion like Gwen, my issue is that Harry so far this year and really in his career as a whole has not really proven to be a very good enough carry player here in the LPL. So I kind of want to see him back on utility, especially now that Bin has completely infected the league with playing Scion. So
it's good.
It's good. I just didn't think it would be Bin to break it out for us.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen it kind of go towards other people as well. Flandre had a good game on it, 369. So I think that would be not a bad option, especially with a very powerful mid jungle. You mentioned the Aurora as being something that both these mid laners enjoy playing, but for Linfeng, I think almost like it's a takeaway as well as being a pick that he's very powerful on as well. It does mean you give potentially Gwen Neferi as a duo over to LGD. These are 2 powerful picks. I know Gwen has been, I know they've each gotten tapped with certain nerfs over the last couple of weeks, but for a while, these were considered the 2 most strong, most OP champions, and if you somehow got both of them in the draft, you're doing something wrong. It's going to be paired alongside a Rise for XQW.
I really like this start here for LGD. Not only do they have 2 side laners are going to be very potent to play sides, so Grub suddenly becomes a very important objective, but Rise, I think, with what OMG are showing so far, might become unkillable in this game. We'll have to see what ends up being the case here. OMG showing some strong team fighting, but we need to see if they can kind of work some of the kinks here. So as we get into the back end of draft here with these bans, My eyes are going to be looking towards supports here, especially for LGD. I think they were lacking a little bit in terms of engage. You're kind of looking at most like a flash rune prison coming in from XQW. So things like the Nautilus and Leona really simplify the game plan, and we'll have to see from LGD what their options are going to be.
I mean, right now, they seem to have basically their pick of the litter at this point. Alistar, the only support that's been targeted so far, so things like the Rel, the Nautilus, even a Braum to counter the Nautilus or to preempt that will all be available. Moham loves his Rel, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not banned here for him to just take it on 4 and maybe just give your last pick to Starry as somebody who can have such high agency in a game like this.
And they will have first pick. I assume what's going to happen is we're going to see an 80 carry pick here for Starry. Just give support counter pick over to Moham. Just let him kind of rule the lane. I think that Starry has shown so many different styles, not only playing some of the early game champions, but really focusing on some late game skirmishing. I think with all of the 80 carries that are gone, preferably I would like to see Jhin, or I would like to see Corki, but Jhin definitely helps with some of the crowd control. I just worry about his ability to deal with a Gwen and also a Neferi in the backline.
Yeah, the damage is conditional seemingly here for OMG. You need a couple items. You need Linfeng to get ahead. You need Starry to get ahead. And again, both of those champions play from range, and things like Gwen are able to deal with that pretty nicely here. So we're going to see the finalization of LG's composition with Xiaoya and YCX. Looks like a Nautilus is here first. And we'll see what that is paired alongside with. Got a lot of 80 carries that were targeted here in this ban phase. So yeah, 5 in total, and we're going down that tier list quick.
Yeah, what support here for OMG? You could go for a Braum. I think Braum kind of helps with some of your options. I still like Leona here as just giving you the ability to just say like, hey, Rise, you're going to have to probably flash this or we're just going to put down some damage. Okay, so they take the Rel. OMG have a composition that really wants a team fight on 2 and 3 items. You can, with this Jhin very early on, provide a lot of utility, and your upfront damage from like a Xin Zhao plus this Jhin can be very potent. My worry is that I think it requires OMG to play a very fast game to start, and LGD, as long as everything goes right, 2, 3 items, you are going to be monsters in team fights. So I want to see how LGD are going to be prioritizing early grubs, and can OMG either stack early dragons or maybe take away some of that topside objective to put this game in flux for them.
And I have my eyes on the jungle matchup here. You know, we talked about Hung being more of a veteran player. This is now his 3rd year in the LPL, and going up against Nayo, the newest member of LGD, just in his 2nd ever split of the LPL, of course, on a different roster just about a year ago. So on the Neferi, which means you're going to be able to do a lot of damage in the early game, have a very fast clear. However, Hung might have the better go of things in terms of early game ganks pre-6, and so it's gonna be an interesting chess match between these two players as we are preparing for our first series of the day here on LPL English.
It'll be Hung trying to hopefully keep his spot here in the LPL, considering Group Nirvana, and Nayo proving that he deserves to be in this league. You know, played last year on Rare Atom and now has to yet again find a spot here on a roster that has a likelihood of potentially not being here in 3 weeks' time.
The stakes, the implications of what this series could mean. A best of 3 between LGD and OMG here in Group Nirvana. Both these teams know their season could be a lot shorter than they anticipated coming into 2025. A couple of roster changes, a couple of adjustments overall. Hopefully some differences in play style from what we've seen from them earlier on in the season. We're on to the Rift for game number 1 between LGD and OMG.
You know, I was waiting for Jayos, but
we're saving them for JDG, seemingly.
Last couple nights have been a bit tough for the Jayos. When IG's there, we're rocking it, but I need some of the lower end teams. I need you all to show out, okay?
We're having this conversation.
Team can be a JDG, a BLG, okay?
Even before the game, we were saying like, man, like these games, like it's like 5 p.m. China time right now. We're like kind of on the border of like when work ends, I think, in general. So maybe people are just a little bit late. Maybe we'll get some of the Jayos later in this series if we go to game 3 or something.
Maybe. We'll have to see. So early on, we are looking at how OMG's solo lanes can kind of push around some of LGD's lanes. And I want to see if Hung in particular can kind of try to leverage, not just invading, because that seems like a pretty bland idea, but you are going into Nefiri, you have some early combat power. Sasa, early on it.
An early ghost proc there. We saw something similar happen in the top esports series, and 369 kind of took advantage of it. Didn't end up working out, but Sasa actually gets a big
solo killed by Breathe on the night. He was playing the Gwen matchup. He was
playing the
so
oh, sorry, other way around. Yeah, the Gwen did not have the best time in that one, but it looks like the chunk worked out here as
well, I was gonna say the problem that 369 chose is that he went D shield, which is just unfortunately with where Gwen is right now, you just have to go D ring. D ring is too OP, so he got opted.
We do have Nayo also pathing towards the Gwen, whereas on the other side, Hung going to be focusing towards that bot side, at least to start things off, as it looks like both are going to be going for those full clears. You can already see the power of the Nefiri clear, as she's just a little bit farther ahead of Hung at this point in the game.
Yeah, the thing that I'm looking at is that Hung was spotted early on by a ward on the Raptors, so this bottom lane should understand that there is going to be a Xin Sao potentially visiting this lane. So thank you to our observers for showing the bottom lane wave here, just wanting to see where exactly YCX and Xiaoya are holding their lane. Get some good damage down onto Moham, so just trying to disincentivize a dive potentially happening within the next minute.
Ooh, we got a little spicy there. Harry's down 100 HP. Gonna have to go back to base as looks like Hung finishing up that clear as well. Nayo in the area, but gonna let that teleport come through.
Yep. So Harry will miss. Yeah, he'll miss this cannon, and I think that's fine. Just probably going to be a trade of teleports here. If Sasa really wants to, he can just walk back, but I think early on you want to try to use at least the first teleport timer that you're allowed to have. And this will just mean that I really like some of the change in pathing there from Nayo. Instead of going for the full 6 camp and then going up to top lane, he instead waited. He just waited out his blue buff, said, hey, let's look top lane on this wave, and we'll end up we'll have full clears from both of our junglers here.
Yep, and both top laners traded those TPs, and we're going to get right back to that state of the lane where Sasa is able to do some damage once he has that maxed out Q and the E, whereas on Harry's side can do that poke from a little bit further away. A little bit of a quieter start here to this early game as neither of the junglers found much on their first clears. The interesting thing to follow now is what the bot lanes decide to do in the next couple of minutes with that first spawn of grubs in just about 90 seconds time.
You know what I just noticed? I might have to hold as we get a 2v2 down here. It's Ignite
get
going
those
down.
Ignites. Both traded here. Starry does not have too much damage to offer though at this point, so it is just going to be that trade of summoner spells.
So they know there's a ward in the Tri-Brush as well as the lane ward. I was wondering potentially there's going to be something happening with Nayo on his Krugs, but instead he's going to be spotted on the Raptors here. Xiaoya went for the heal. Now, what we've been seeing ever since the heal nerf, a couple of almost half a year ago basically, is that a lot of our AD carries, like as you can see in Starry, have just been opting for barrier, but going up against the Rel is a small piece of just matchup knowledge, is that she does have the ability to shatter shields with her Q, so you get a little bit more out of it. Also, Starry just straight up used the barrier there. That was interesting.
Yeah, little stopping the Mystic shot. Hey, it's worth it, I guess, if it means you get to push this wave in.
I think it was mostly, yeah,
right?
the keeping the HP, because if the jungler's there and you're like, guys, I really need to crash the wave, you're like, I'm gonna hope that I have more than 40% of my HP.
Fair enough. Hey, gets back to base, okay, picks up the Swifty Boots, and now rotating towards the top side of the map, where those grubs are going to spawn in about 20 seconds. It seems like both teams are a little bit late to the play. Nayo is going to be there first, where Hung does have to run through the mid lane at this point. Problem is, though, for LGD, Xiaoya and YCX are a little bit farther away at this point. That means Moham's going to be there first. Crashdown does connect alongside the Deadly Flourish. That is a burst of crowd control as Linfeng picks up first blood for OMG.
I just don't understand why XQW is standing that far up and not even bothering to use his flash or set up some kind of roam play. I think you need to just give up that wave, give up this particular piece of control. You already have vision of the other brushes around this objective. Back up a little bit, reinforce with the rest of your team, and I mean, now Nayo just took half of his HP for free from Linfeng. I would not be surprised to see a potential re-engage here. Moham could look for something, and you still have this ultimate coming in from Linfeng, but he has some pretty low mana, so it'd have to be a one-way trip.
Oh, here we go. Between Worlds pops out as all 3 grubs are secured by OMG. Crashdown does land onto 2. XQW back in the fight, but now Sasa's here with the needlework, and Harry is exhausted on the Gnar. Round comes out. Let's see who decides to take it. It is 3 to try to cut off Harry and OMG.
Oh.
He will go down first. It'll be 1 traded back as XQW dies for the second time, as Sasa will find a second kill. It is an all-out brawl here in the mid lane. As all of a sudden, another collapse comes down here onto the Fury, and Nayo will pick up 1 kill and will flash away to safety, but it'll be followed here by Linfeng. What a fight that we have at the 7-minute mark, as only the Ezreal and the Aurora will survive.
So it'll be 3 grubs, and they get a verified ace there. Xiaoya dies twice during this play. He died at the beginning, he comes back in, dies again. Now we see LGD with a it's only 1,000 gold lead, but you look at where the lanes are now, the summoner spells that you lose out on this. We get right into this replay, and look at where the damage at this point is. It's still not being done. All this time, OMG still are able to fight. I think for me, the biggest factor that could have changed this is maybe Hung getting level 6 a little bit earlier, but now your backline is just completely disheveled. We don't even have a Gwen ultimate. Like, this should have just been get 1 or 2 kills, peel back out.
I mean, each side got 4, I guess. The biggest thing for me is that Harry just didn't use the Mega Gnar. He was level 6, got exhausted, never got into form, and died way too quickly before that spell was even used. And so we got 4 kills on Linfeng now in this game early on. We talk about him being an exciting player here for OMG that we have not seen the most of just yet. He's now all of a sudden in a huge position to do a lot of good in this game. That is a malignant 8 minutes in.
That's what I was going to note, is just having that first completed item everywhere that this Aurora is now is going to be a pain point for LGD. So, same thing that we were talking about a few minutes when we started up this game. How does OMG utilize how strong their solo lanes are so early on into this game to generate an advantage for themselves? And now, want to fight, they'll get 3 grubs as well as the first dragon. So I would say the early game where we needed to see OMG get off to a good start is starting to pay off.
And when you're this strong, have this much AP on the Aurora, clearing those waves just gets so easy. You throw out a Q and an E, and all of a sudden you can roam either which way, top or bottom, depending on where your team needs you to be. And so if you're Hung, all of a sudden you have an Aurora kind of in your back pocket whenever you want, because so far ahead will have so much priority, and it can allow for OMG to make plays. Just need to make sure that Hung and Linfeng are on the same page.
Alright, so they're going to be taking a reset here. We do have grubs spawning in a minute's time, so wonder if there's going to be some kind of lane swap here. See, Harry's already just trying to get this wave in. He's going to, if Sasa wants, he does have the option to freeze, but I'm assuming he's just going to try to push this in and take his recall, as we can already see OMG moving their bottom lane to be in position for this objective. So we got to be watching Harry this entire time. Mega Gnar Rage Bar management has been a big piece of question already early on into this game.
It's yeah, didn't work too well around the grubs. I'll say that, as never even got a chance to press his R button in that one. Picks up the Merc Treads, as both of these top laners going for slightly more defensive builds to open up. Want to make sure that they don't end up falling too early. As we're taking a look at some of the numbers here that Linfeng has put up so far. I mean, so he's been the big star in this game, at least at the moment. I will say though, for LGD, it seems like it does look like they're playing with a new jungler. It seems like they were not super coordinated on that last fight in terms of setting up, bringing the resets forward at the right time, and they paid for it. Now Xiaoya might be in some trouble as well. Already has used the Arcane Shift. The crowd controls chains available for OMG with the Deadly Flourish and with Moham. That's going to be dangerous once we get later on into this one.
Well, the team in LGD that really wanted to play on sides, and you have really strong laners to be able to do that, no longer going to have access to grubs. It'll be 6 grubs. So OMG just get feats of strength just like that at 11 minutes. Because they already got the feats of warfare. They've now taken all 3 of the first objectives in this game. And LGD, yes, you're the scaling competition, but you have such powerful damage with this Fury. I think that now the 2 carries of the game have unfortunately jeopardized this win for them, as Rise going down and being so useless early on, already down 1,500 gold, and Xiaoya dying there. I feel like that's such a bad spot. As Sasa, I still don't know.
Yeah. Harry, I mean, he used his ult and the jump really early on in that one, so popping the needlework is enough for Harry to blow his flash, as all 6 grubs, as you said, were picked up by OMG. They're playing even further into the enemy jungle as well, stealing away that Gromp camp, and so Nayo on this Neferi in his first game. A champion that generally does best when it's able to snowball is currently only up a little bit in gold and is basically the sole win condition at this point for LGD.
Well, as a Climber fan, I can say that I am feeling relieved that this is the result we're getting because it feels more of the same. Honestly, if we had Climber back, the game state would probably be very similar at this point because
yeah, just switch the nameplates. It's the same thing.
Yeah, like LGD beforehand, even with Climber in the roster, didn't really do a great job of placing down vision and protecting their camps for their junglers. So in a similar sense, now with them having continued losing lanes and some places that they've been caught, we're now seeing yet again a situation, another game where LGD have to have their jungler start to slowly lose resources out on the map and unfortunately be a little bit homeless here on the Rift.
You got your first item. That's all you get. Now all your camps belong to OMG, seemingly.
You're playing the Dark Souls version of Summoner's Rift now, bro. Good luck.
Yeah.
I hope you know how to dodge roll.
Interested to see the lane assignments here as well. OMG have sent Linfeng down to the bottom lane as now XQW on the other side is top. Seems like they want to make sure that Sasa is not in a position where he can 1v1 Harry as easily as he was able to around the bot lane the last time up. We have the dragon spawning in about a minute. They want to make sure, OMG want to make sure they have their strongest player down there for that potential fight.
If you're OMG, I think you can make the argument that you should want to fight. The Ezreal hasn't even completed the Trinity Force yet. You're looking at a Rod of Ages on the opposite side. I think it's reasonable for you to fight. I think there's also an argument that could be made here for OMG that with 6 grubs, if they go ahead and put numbers down onto that dragon, you can overload on one side and make it basically impossible for LGD to be able to really play the map very wide.
That's true. You could just burst down an entire tier 1, I think, at this point, especially as those plates fall, which will happen right when that dragon spawns. It's a Chemtech Drake. That is good sign if you're OMG. It means you're not going to get that Chemtech Soul. You have your chance at one of the other ones that may potentially be a little bit better, as all bot side prio currently belongs to the red side. As you can see, Hung and Moham coordinating together to try to clear out vision before this objective spawns.
They've got to play to mid lane. They just got to play bottom lane as well. Linfeng can continue to hit the stir. He just does not care about Sasa.
Grubs diff. Oh my gosh.
Grubs diff. They even get control of the dragon. So it's already tough enough. And look where Nayu's at. He's sitting top lane. There's no objective here, bro. Is he going to try and maybe steal a camp here? Because there's no play into mid. Maybe just reinforcing Xiaoya, but we've done nothing, turned it into nothing, and now we're going to continue to lose everything here for LGD, as that's another dragon going over. So, I mean, Herald spawns in a minute 40. Hopefully we get to see LGD actually contest this objective. Again, you are the late game team, but you don't have to give over everything.
I mean, giving that over is not the worst thing in the world, but it had to be coordinated with making some other sort of play, right? Like going with that rise up to the top lane and try to burn something off of Harry, get some damage onto that tier 1 turret up there. No objective to spawn over there. And Nayo, there was a camp available. It was that Raptor camp. Didn't end up going for it. Might try to find something onto Moham here. Nice use of the untargetable to make sure that Moham's stun does not connect. Flashes over the wall. Here comes that ultimate. It gets canceled by the Magnet Storm, but it will not matter. Nayo will pick up the kill and pick up the reset if he does want to go forward a little bit more, but you can see the power of that Aurora as well. Linfeng bursting him down to 40% HP with just one single combo.
Look, as much as I would love to say that Moham made a pretty big mistake there, he's all recalling on his side of the jungle, it's fine, but look at how many resources he got out of that. The Realm Warp, the flash out from XQW, including Nayo's ultimate. So if there was ever a good death from Moham, I think that's probably going to be as good as it's going to get here in this game, as it's a little bit of gold going over to LGD, but I still think you look at the map, I think it's the death that doesn't ultimately affect all that much. If anything, it lets Moham reset a little bit faster and get his ward so he can come back onto the map and move with Hung into this topside jungle for the Herald in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and this Rift Herald would continue to add to the chokehold that OMG currently have over the map state right now. They're already up 1,500 gold. They have the 6 grubs. They pick this one up and can just send down a tier 1 turret at their whim before a major objective. It becomes even harder for LGD to play the game, especially around a potential Ocean Soul Point Dragon that's coming up in 3 minutes time.
And I love what we're seeing here. The problem that I'm having is YCX invested a lot of vision towards the bottom side of the map, so moving in, he doesn't have very many wards here to allow for a teleport from Sasa. Uh-oh.
Here we go here. Moham does get dodged away from it. The two-man depth charge comes out from YCX. The Rel could be in trouble. Ultimate comes out from Nayo, and they do pick up that first kill. It is traded back here as YCX will fall on the other side of the fight. A teleport is coming in. It is going to be Harry joining the fray shortly. Still 4v4. Here comes Satsi, though. Pops the ghost. Uses the needlework. Will get one. Could potentially get bursted down as Hung flashes over the third proc. He gets himself a double kill before falling to Starry, who is now stuck in a 3v1 across the Rift Herald pit. He throws away his shield and runs back to base as OMG actually end up falling in that fight.
And I guess LGD just end up winning the fight now. So all of the goodwill, there's still a lot of game here still left to play here for OMG, especially with 6 grubs, but grabbing themselves the Rift Herald here I think is the best possible scenario for LGD, as well as getting some pretty key summoner spells, as well as the shutdown onto Linfeng. So feeling okay about their spot. We had some criticisms for their early game. We get to check how this started yet again. All the engage onto YCX means that now Moham is missing some pretty key tools. I think the Starry opening up at the curtain call so early on when Xiaoya is right next to him provided too much threat. And I mean, hey, this Rise is starting to pump out some damage as well, as we get to see Sasa on the end of this fight pick up a few kills.
Yeah, this was the big difference maker here. If Sasa ends up going down specifically right before he gets a kill on the Hung, it's suddenly a different story. And LGD actually doing well for themselves. That's 4 kills. They're actually in the lead at this point. And Nayo on the Nefiri is 4-1-4. Not as homeless as he might have been a couple of minutes ago.
He has been made into a brand new homeowner, so exciting to see. There's going to be a multi-man play here.
Oh yeah, immediately targeting onto Sasa, who was the big beneficiary in that last fight. The needlework comes out, but it's just too late. It will be traded though as Nayo picks up kill number 5, gets a reset on the ultimate, and will go towards Moham to at least make it a double kill for the Nefiri. So LGD once again winning out on the trade, even though their top laner dies first.
Going a little bit too ham on the side lane, and we're getting to that point on Rise where he has just enough HP, just enough of regeneration from something like Rod of Ages that he can kind of stand toe-to-toe with this Aurora, despite her already finishing a Shadow Flame before 17 minutes. And now Nayo hits a pretty huge spike, has the Black Cleaver as well as this Eclipse. I'm looking for how LGD are going to advance the game state, because it's not just going to be enough for the enemy team to have to give you kills and open up some space on the map. You need to be able to develop and kind of push the tempo here. So with the Rift Herald, you do have the opportunity with the Dragon spawning as well for them to be able to open this up. But with no mid lane wave, I think it is looking more and more difficult for LGD to really advance, or at least their side of the map.
LG would love this dragon though. Make sure that OMG do not pick up that Ocean Soul point. It's going to cost them a little bit on the top side, as Linfeng with those 6 grubs is able to take down that tier 1 turret up there. That's the first tower of the game going over to OMG, but mid lane priority still the name of the game for now. It does mean that Nayo is able to pick up the entirety of that dragon, prevent that soul point from going over, and now they're looking bot.
Oh, look at this. We're even seeing that they have XQW and YCX. Oh, the teleport from Aurora. They're not going to be able to match. They're just going to have to give up a turret here. So it'll be a trade. Top tier 1 for bottom tier 1. You get control of the dragon as well. I want to see OMG really hold this choke point around the lane.
XQW takes a big chunk of damage, but the Magnet Storm is flashed away from. Realm Warp will take him back to safety as well. And now LGD are going to win out on this fight. A team-man depth charge comes out. Sasa is unlocked on the front line, but look at Starry on the backside as well. Curtain call is going to come out. It's a 2v2, and right now it's OMG coming back into this one. Linfeng is just too strong. Here comes a teleport from XQW. Comes back with a full HP bar against a Pea Shooter Jhin and an Aurora. Deadly Flourish is dodged away from. And it will be OMG on the retreat after a crazy 3-for-3.
And now they get time to hit on this mid lane turret. I think it's a big win for OMG. They evened up a lot of the gold, and despite having Mosquito Jhin build, they are just finding kills for Starry. Linfeng gets to come into the back line. Big summoner spells now gone from the side of LGD, and their map still in Tiders. They're still having a really tough time of being able to kind of play very wide and very open on Summoner's Rift. So, looking back at this play, it yet again starts with XQW getting caught out, losing most of his HP bar. This has been a pain point for this team in multiple series so far in 2025.
He baits it out, flashes away from the Rel engage, who used all of his spells to try to get that rise down. And that meant that LGD had a little bit of an angle, but then watch Linfeng doing so much damage here on the back end of this fight.
And this Aurora is just really thin. Also, we just haven't seen Harry actually pull off a Mega Gnar combo to save anybody's life, so...
Not yet.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
It only takes
OMG
one.
Fans. Yeah, I guess. Oh, Nayo, no. Oh, Nayo, no.
A lot of dashes on this Neferi. Hung's immediately going to flash forward, pop the Crescent Guard. There's a lot to block away from some of the damage, and as soon as that expires, that's the jungler for OMG down. Here comes Sasa. Needlework doing so much damage. That third proc forcing Starry to flash away. And so LGD, they get one. It is the jungler here for OMG. Does it mean they go for the Otacon, which is now available on the top side of the map?
Oh, this is such a huge win for LGD. Like, this was the games that we low-key kind of signed up for when we're talking about Group Nirvana, LGD versus OMG. It wasn't going to be clean. It wasn't going to be pretty. But hell, was it going to be full of action here? The early game was a little bit slow, but so far LGD have been able to claw back, but it just has been so back and forth between these two teams.
They will pick up that Otacon. It's going to give them that false life passive. So head back to base. LGD, we thought that they were going to be suffering a little bit after OMG and Linfeng won out on that first fight around the Grubs. But since then, they've been able to come back nicely, and I think a lot of it is around their new jungler in Nayo on this Neferi. 7-2-7 now. Of course, Sasa's done a lot of damage in some of these team fights as well, but I mean, it's really Nayo who was one of the few players, or one of the only players here for LGD that had any sort of advantage and has been able to make much use of it.
Yeah, he should be getting close to a third item, which does look to be Spear of Shojin. So he's going to be getting a lot of HP, a lot of ability haste as well. This champion's going to get more and more disgusting. I want to see LGD play with a little bit of reckless abandon. There are no summoner spells here available on relevant members of OMG, so being able to overload onto one side of the map or even playing as a 3-4 man unit on one side, reinforcing this this Gwen can be very, very profitable for LGD. I mean, you basically get free house money to play with for the next minute, and the dragon is spawning, and you already have taken one, so there's no threat of a soul at least for 10 minutes.
You know, honestly, at this point, normally with the Otacon revive, you kind of can just like go int and do as much as you want. Play for the dragon at this point if you're LGD, right? Use the false life passives to make sure you pick up that objective, even if that count is 2. You see a Realm Warp issued by XQW as on the other side of the fight, or the other side of the map, LGD taking down that mid lane tier 2 and adding to their gold lead, which is ballooned to about 3,000 at this point.
Now they can make a play onto mid here. YCX probably going to be looking for a flash engage. There we
Oh,
go.
Hex Slash over the wall, knock up on the Moham, that Rel is down, and look at the dive as well from Sasa. Might have gotten a little bit too far forward, but it's not going to matter if it means that Nayo gets himself a double kill underneath the tier 2. Curtain Call is going to send Xiaoya back to the base, and it does mean that maybe OMG have an opportunity to get a little bit of space on the map.
Yeah, but now they're going to be walking into this dragon with no flash on Harry, their jungler dead. This is going to be another dragon taken here by LGD. I think a perfectly fine trade. We even got some good chip damage onto the mid-tier 2. Didn't trade all that much when it came to summoner spells, stuff that's going to be reoccurring as this game goes on. I liked how aggressive we played this, just catch out Starry. I think Sasa unfortunately went a little bit too far, especially when there is a Gnar, but again, had to trade the summoner spell for it, so good deaths all around. Even getting the teleport, I think, from Linfeng, very important as Rise is becoming to continue to be a pain point in the side lane for OMG.
It's going to be an interesting close to this game at this point. We've already seen 29 kills in the first 25 minutes of this game off. The first Nirvana game that we had, LNG EDG, it was not like this. It was a much slower game. And so I'm glad that we at least have some action here, some back and forths, as it really has been a back and forth game number 1. We thought that OMG was going to be in a great position, and then LGD has really clawed their way back. And I'm looking at now Linfeng on this Aurora. He got so fed off of that first fight. 3 full items and 10 stacks on the Darksteel to do some of the damage. YCX maybe get caught out here as Sase is looking for a fight as well. The Needlework not going to find too much. So just chunks Moham a tiny bit. Not much to fight for over the map either.
For all of our Gwen players at home, if you are playing Gwen, just a reminder. Oh, never mind. I think we're getting a fight.
Wow, YCX just stepped a little bit too far forward, and that is Linfeng picking up another kill. Teleport comes in. It's going to be Harry, who is Meganar, but a little bit far away from the entirety of the fight. Xiaoya will use the timer to get that mid lane tier 2, add the 5th tower of the game here for LGD, but OMG do get themselves a kill back on a YCX.
The team with 6 grubs is losing playing the map right now, and like I was going to say before, when you have a Gwen, the amount of max HP true damage that she has, go ahead and just start up Baron. Almost every single time it is a winning play. She does so much damage, especially if you play Gwen jungle. She will run through this objective like butter. So, gonna be interesting to see how LGD are going to force and play around this objective, or potentially wait 3 minutes time for that dragon, which, I mean, they're gonna be having 3 ocean drakes potentially, and that's a lot of resource regeneration.
I mean, especially on somebody like Gwen, right? With the 1,000 cuts passive, able to regenerate a lot naturally with the Riftmaker. In addition to that, Nayo enjoys those heals as well. This is a very good soul to have if you are LGD and the team composition that you currently possess. So right now, Baron is going to be the focus here. True Shot Barrage comes in onto Linfeng as it looks like LGD trying to start a fight from afar. We see that Realm Warp also being used as Moham is the first target. Will get bursted down as Nayo will pick up the kill. Rest of LGD still 5 strong around that top side. Baron is on the menu if they want to go for it.
Yeah, they've got Gwen Ultimate as well. OMG are just going to have to either give this one up or stake the entire game on this big purple worm. Now just trying to get a little bit of that jungle HP, but look at how fast this Baron is being peeled away.
Yeah.
I love YCX here.
Hog's not even going to get a chance. He just gets ulted by YCX and gets taken down by Xiaoya. That's the Baron going over to LGD as it's their new jungler in Nayo picking it up. And now they could potentially look for even more kills as Needlework comes out. Harry lands a stun initially onto the Gwen, but gets singled out by the remainder of LGD. And Nayo popping off on the Nefiri. That's kill number 11.
We haven't seen the strong team fighting from OMG. We've gotten individual skirmishes, and in particular, Harry has had such a rough game on this Gnar, never really getting a big Mega Gnar ultimate to find multiple members. And now LGD have the Baron. Xiaoyu's been sitting in mid lane, took a mid-tier 2, and has now taken an inhibitor turret as well. And hey, while all this is happening, even if they overchase, this is going to be a top lane turret.
Gotta go for something, and Xiaoya, he shifts over the wall, gonna be followed by the Flash of Starry. They at least get that, but now here comes the Nefiri. The ultimate on top of the Jhin will be enough to take him down, and a reset comes through on the Linfeng. Will the Aurora have enough damage? It's one of the big carries. Meanwhile, the base is being eviscerated by LGD, and Nayo is just playing bait with the Nautilus. Harry has respawned, going to come back, but it is already 2 inhibitors going down. You will take that any day if you are LGD. And it looks like Nayo is still going to survive, and the rest of the squad has potentially arrived. Moham still looking here for the Nefiri, but now Linfeng says, hey bro, I'm out of there. Good luck in that 1v3, and he will not have much luck at all as Nayo gets another kill.
Let's go LGD! I was gonna lose faith if they lost this game, man. The LDL champions are at least making good here. XQW, and unfortunately his brother Climber no longer here, at least for now, but at least they are making good on these plays. Nayo on this Nefiri doing so much work, and I just love how LGD have so far played these last 10 minutes. Xiaoya always sitting in the mid lane just trying to get turret damage because OMG are over-grouping and still losing fights. And as we get to look at this, I just think like there are so many things that you could call into question. The fact that we're flashing forward as OMG, it feels like the desperation is really starting to kick in. And there's a play right after this. So obviously they're sitting in mid. Sasa and XUW are hitting on the inhibitor. We get the Realm Warp here. This Moham flash. That's all I gotta say for OMG, man. Just why? What's going on here, bro?
I don't know. I mean, it looked like they were in a winning position after winning that fight around the grubs. Linfeng looked like he was really strong.
That was like 25 minutes ago.
I mean, since then it's been on LGD, right? Now they're up 8,000 gold. This was a game that we almost counted them out of early on, but now it's Nayo on his first game with this team. 13-2-7. He's 4,500 gold ahead of Hung.
All right. We will have to see after this game if it was the Nefiri diff or Nayo is the GOAT. Because if Nayo has another carry game, then I think we can give him the credit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. The Sasa, that's a big carry actually taken down here by Harry with a nicely timed flash ultimate. Nayo's going to have to do a lot of this on his own as the Between Worlds comes out. maybe OMG have a chance to fight back a little bit. The wind becomes lightning, does connect on to the Neferi, and the Death Stance will eventually bleed him out. That's a big shutdown onto Starry as OMG are done with this one just yet. Oh my goodness, XQW does a lot of damage, but it is not enough. There comes the curtain call, and that's a big team fight win for OMG.
Why were we not fighting? Where was Xiaoya during all of this? I really want to take a look at the replay and see the mini-map. Could the AD carry of LGD almost make it on over? Barely isn't able to kill Starry there, but I mean, it starts off with Sasa getting picked off, and then it just feels like LGD trickle into that fight. They lose some key summoner spells as well, so it's a stopgap measure here for OMG. We still expect for LGD to have scaling in this game, and again, now I want to see this. So we know Sasa goes down. The fact that ultimate lands is pretty impressive. Good job from Harry. But this entire time, look at where Xiaoya is. He's hitting bot lane tier 3. Let him hit this inhibitor. If anything, he should be moving over here. It seems like he's making his way now. I'm just tracking Ezreal. Like, I really feel like he should just connect with his team, but I guess this choke is so dangerous right now. And
it feels like to me, LGD might have been thinking about the draft for game number 2 a little bit too early. I'm not gonna lie, they might have been autopiloting.
I'm thinking about the draft for game 2 already, bro. This game's cooked.
But now take a look. 20 stacks of the Medjais on Linfeng, who is now 9-1-9. Starry picked up a huge, I think a 1k goal shutdown onto Nayo on that last one. Has a full Infinity Edge, plus a Lord Doms, working towards, I think, either a Bloodthirster or a Guardian Angel with that last item. OMG pack a little bit of a punch with their backline right now.
Yeah, Jhin definitely does a lot. I'm really hoping that this Static Shiv gets sold for a real damage item. Please have enough wave clear.
Eventually.
with an Aurora on your team. And it has to be Linfeng. Linfeng, a guy who, going through OMG on OM Dream, the academy team for this organization, tried to bring in some pretty good performances. But so far here in the LPL, it has been, I think, pretty painful for him. Especially you look at that JDG series, that Game 5, one of his first Game 5s here in the LPL, head in hands, he was crying after the match, and obviously there was a lot of personal responsibility on his end to kind of carry the team. He had a lead in some of these games. He was kind of beating up on Scout for a portion of the series, so I think here again, carry shoes, carry burden is on your back. Can this Aurora find the target? I just think it's so difficult with how much HP a player like Nayo has, and kind of some of the mobility of their carries.
Has a GA now as well. I will say, Nayo, a very armor-focused build in terms of the defensive attributes that he currently has. So Linfeng should be able to do a decent amount to him as the Baron buff is available. We saw how quickly LGD were able to burst that down before, and with those 2 inhibitors being down for so long in this game, LGD have been able to generate a ton of map control. They can play around the vision, around the Baron pit very, very nicely, and can make OMG feel very scared to walk anywhere, even in their own jungle.
So what both teams need to be kind of thinking about and be really prescient about is, for LGD, with this Rise, they can move from one side of the map to the other incredibly quickly, including if they have control of the Baron pit, teleporting all of their members into the pit, sneaking a Baron, and then just getting out like thieves in the night. So I think from OMG, we need to make sure that they're keeping wards, they're keeping vision of this side of the map, when now they're going to be losing access to this. And then you also have to think, if we give up this Baron, 30 seconds from now, there's going to be an Ocean Soul potentially here for LGD that they can play with.
We'll say now, full builds on the OMG carries. Linfeng and Starry have 5 full items. Nobody on LGD does right now. However, the Baron is being started up by the blue squad. Hung going to spot them out right now, but that gets bursted down quick. Can Hung do it? He jumps into the pit, but it's stolen away by Nayo. And so it will be LGD with that buff, and now it's up to Starry and the rest of OMG. They get the first kill on the YCX. Linfeng goes between worlds, trying to dash back and forth. He baits out the needlework from Sasa, and the curtain call doing a lot of damage on Nayo as well. He has to dash away. That is XQW going down. Nayo is the next target. OMG are doing it in this team fight here. Linfeng forces Nayo to go back to base. Mid control dominated by OMG as they want to pick up this Ocean Dragon.
And with that Baron, how much more can they get? I mean, Sasa's teleporting to the bottom side of the map. We said earlier, when there's a Gwen in the game, Baron melts, but they lose a team fight on the back of that. LGD, we don't need to contest for this. Please,
Oh,
for the love of
Sasa.
God. Nayo's nowhere near
He's in the
this.
bush. He's going to get caught out. Harry goes Mega Gnar, but will it be too late? He Gnars him into the wall. Deadly Flourish comes out. Sasa is dead, but here comes Nayo. Can he find the steal? Can he find the soul? It'd be huge for LGD if he can, but he runs away as he knows he does not have a smite available for him. And OMG will even up the Dragon count and are looking for more. Starry has the Guardian Angel Pog, but he allows the Deadly Flourish to connect to the Shao, who now has no mana. He has no mana, and Linfeng gets the kill.
Linfeng, are you going to die to the bleed? No, that's not the case. OMG are fighting back off of the mistakes here of LGD. We're going to have a 7th and final Elemental Drake bringing us the soul here in this game. From the early game, we had said it was OMG favored. In the middle part of the game, it's been all LGD. They still hold a gold lead here, but they have been playing some of these fights, I think, overplaying their hands. We talked about earlier, when they lose a big fight, they feel almost inclined to try to fight for the next objective immediately afterwards. And in this replay, I mean, look at where all the damage carries are. XUW, why are we flashing like this? Like, yes, Starry's in range, but just walk up to him, man. Save your summoner spells.
There's not... Yeah, not worth it for them, and nicely played there by Linfeng. That between worlds, baiting out so many skills. XQW gets bursted down by the force shot. These carries for OMG at this point of the game are very powerful and probably stronger than even a Nayo in this situation, who now is 5,000 gold ahead of Hung. But look at Linfeng, 25 stacks in the book.
Oh, the Majai's Ego Stealer is alive and well for Linfeng. I just think it is hilarious to look at our two junglers. One of them has 4 items, and the other one is Hung. He's got 2 items, got some boots. He's got an empty slot in his inventory, which at this point in the game, for a lot of champions, feels like heresy.
This is the pure, like... What season was it? Like season 3?
Game, jungle diff. That's all you type in chat. I want everybody in Twitch chat to type jungle diff if Hung still wins this game. OMG.
Yeah, Hung stuck in like season 6 or whatever it was, when you just bought like you just went back to base and bought like 17 wards every game as the jungler. Like that was your job. And
I miss old Sightstone.
He's locked in back there.
Don't bring it up. So. All right.
So
well, Grapes, we don't have much on the map here. OMG still, despite having some good fights back to back, are still down 5,000 gold. They don't have any structures to really play around, and especially with all these inhibitors open and available, it's going to be a long time before OMG not only win a fight, but then are also able to push and look for an end.
And right now, though, without those objectives, there's not really much that either team wants to do for fighting it. So we're gonna be chilling for at least a little bit. Interesting to note that LGD still do have the map priority right now. The waves are pushing into the red side base, and that's because they were able to pick up a lot of these turrets. It's 9 turrets to 3. That means, honestly, if OMG win out in a team fight, but like not by a lot, if it's not like a full 5-0, they might not be able to end the game immediately off of it, depending on where the waves are at.
Now, seems like LGD, they really want to play around the top side of the map right now. I mean, you have Rise Ultimate at level 16. The 3 points into it already should have some pretty decent range to it. So Sasa is technically allowed to overextend in a side lane, because very quickly LGD could reinforce those numbers. So I think just waiting for Xiaoya to get ready and catch this mid wave, and then make sure that Nayo, XQW, and YCX are playing as like a 3-man roaming death squad to reinforce one side of the map.
And that could work. I mean, we talked about how the picks, you know, the late game works well for LGD. I think they thrive in like a side laning situation now. When you have the Gwen and the Ryze, and you can kind of maneuver the rest of the players around. The problem is there's not any turrets to take in terms of split pushing. You're only looking at inhibitors and the Nexus towers at this point, so you have to be pretty far extended into the OMG territory if you want to utilize these side laners at this point in the game. Nayo and Sasa, sorry. They're gonna have to be the big difference makers here as we're getting closer to these objectives spawning. I will say it's the Soul on one side and the Baron on the other. If you're LGD, do you take the gamble and try to go for the Baron and give up the Soul?
I think Baron is incredibly useless right now. Soul is a game breaker. I mean, for LGD, they'll have 4 Elemental Drakes and the Soul on top of it. They'll be nigh unkillable at that point, and if they win the fight here, probably is going to be the end of the game. Like you said, OMG, if they win with overwhelming numbers here, they could very easily just turn with 6 grubs and blow up the base of LGD.
Ooh, we're starting to see that Jin
XQW.
damage pop in. XUW flashes forward again, but it will be the start of the fight as YCX lands at least that dredge line. Oh, Xiaoya! He shifts forward! He shifts forward! He's still going to get flashing away, having that ability as we see Linfeng on the other side going golden here on the Aurora. Harry with the two-man Gnar. It stuns up the Rise, but now Linfeng, he gets the Fury ult and as Nayu tries to go far forward. It will be Starry finally picking up the shutdown onto the Ezreal, and Nayu is going to get caught out as well. He goes untargetable, but now Sasa is here. Realm Warp going forward as XQW trying to join the fray. The curtain call will be opened up. Will anybody go down in the remainder of this fight? The force shot does so much damage as Starry takes down YCX, and now it's a numbers advantage for OMG.
The junglers are both alive, and you see the pings coming out. Harry's going to look for some kind of teleport. Can they make a group play around mid here?
Moham is very low. Any engage is
Uh-oh.
likely a one-way trip. Hung going forward, but these are not the carries here right now. Linfeng is dead. That is one of the major X factors for OMG out of this fight. Sorry, he flashes forward. He sees a kill angle potentially on XUW, and he finds it with an absolute monster of a crit. Two go over the wall as Nayu and Sasa, they're the strongest members here for LGD, but it's still a 4v2. This is the Soul, potentially available. Gnarl ultimate goes in. The Gwen is locked in, but here comes the Nefiri still at full HP. Who can take down this jungler? The new jungler will not get the smite as OMG will secure the Ocean Soul.
Now they have the Soul, they're going to run immediately to the Baron, and LGD are wishing they got those team fights back. They're wishing that Rise still had the flash. They're going to ignore the purple worm. I mean, they have 6 scrubs, but this minion wave just gets eviscerated.
It's not possible.
So they'll lose some time. Oh my god, what are LGD and OMG doing here? This is game 1! We still have at least 2 more after this. At the very least, we have 1 more.
This is what we wanted to see out of Group Nirvana. It might not be the cleanest League of Legends. It might not be good League of Legends, but it is great LPL entertainment. Absolute cinema. Pull up the meme right now. Spam it in the Twitch chat because that is what we have here in this first game between OMG and LGD. Let's take a look at this fight. It starts with Xiaoya with a really insane arcane shift forward that he actually lives for a while from.
Yeah, I mean, he has Guardian Angel, so I get it, but the rest of his team, I don't know if they're necessarily on the same page, that he's like shifting forward. Right before this replay starts, XQW using his flash, I feel like if they still had this objective, if they still had that summoner spell, that would have been something that they could use to potentially even get into the backline here. Realm Warp the rest of your team to make Starry and the rest of OMG kind of pay for it, but now they lose access to it. They have multiple members go down. This is gold in the back pockets of OMG, and I'm looking right now, Grapes. We're going to come out of this replay probably around 44 minutes. Longest game of the split was 2 days ago. 3 days ago. IG versus FPX. 49 minutes. Do you think we're going to be seeing this game go for another 5?
I just know in the back of my head I'm doing the double shift as well, so I have W versus JDG after this, and so we might get that long one here. As you know, now the Baron buff is available for another minute and 45 seconds. Linfeng playing very aggressive though as Nayu will look to maybe dash forward. That's a big engage coming in from Moham. Sasa goes down instantly. And here comes the curtain call. XQW in a terrible position right now. Harry over the wall will only land the Gnar ultimate on the 1, but that is XQW already dead. The soul laners for LGD are down, and it is just Nayu and Xiaoya left to try to defend the base.
Okay, how much can LGD get done here? I mean, Baron's still here for OMG. 6 grubs as well. They have a minion wave, and it's 40 seconds before the next available member.
Oh, it's poetic even. The new jungler here for LGD in a similar situation to the old, up 4,000 gold, but still might lose the game. The Nexus is exposed. OMG were down in the mid game, but they will not lose late. It is Starry and Linfeng carrying OMG to a game 1 win.
There were some shaky moments through
that LGD like seemingly went into, right? They thought they were far enough ahead that it didn't matter, and that's what ended up costing them that game.
Well, maybe if they had secured any of the grubs early on, maybe we would have been in that position.
That's true.
So we're getting into game 2. LGD now on the blue side here. Interesting to see.
Still on the blue side.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, I guess they get blue side both games. Okay, well, now we get to see the first pick. There's no Gwen, there's no Nefiri. My eyes, again, Vi, very big pickup for either one of these junglers, and seems to be kind of pick of the litter once we get through first round, first games.
Yeah, the Vi was something that we specifically were targeting for Nayu. Want to make sure that this guy, on his first series with this new LGD team, first series in the LPL in 2025 is on some comfort, and so getting that champion, which is very highly prized overall, is going to be important. We've seen Tryndamere around here for players like Linfeng in the LPL, but it's going to be that Scion that you were talking about, Alk, and I think you're pretty happy about that one. That was one of those that you suggested going in.
Yes, Harry on carries. I mean, you can even see just a majority of that in our game. He was just standing around. He was like the ultimate cardio player of all time, to quote Yanni and Cubby. So, gonna be looking forward to what he can do in this game. Now with the Poppy, they have a very resilient front line. What I'm gonna be looking for from OMG is what real damage, like 1v9 carries you're gonna have, because if LGD do end up taking this Azir, that is something that is going to be away from Linfeng. And so looking in terms of the jungle matchup, or in terms of mid, are they really going to try to opt for a Talia on 3? That kind of becomes a little bit questionable, especially early on with a Vi and an Azir.
I feel like a Talia honestly here works really well. All three of these champions for the top side of LGD have dashes that can be interrupted here by both the steadfast presence of the Poppy and the unraveled earth of a Talifa comes out, but it's going to be an Ahri instead for Linfeng, which provides a little bit of that roaming potential, the ability to really be a vehicle for allowing a player like Starry, who we have not selected as champion yet, to have some success.
Okay, this entire second phase of ban is probably going to be towards AD carries. I would expect at least one support shout, just because with Nautilus and Rail taken, Alistar, Leona do start to gain in priority here. Leona probably a little less so for a team like LGD when there is a Poppy in the enemy team, but still. OMG though, I mean, perfect amount of frontline. You do have a really deadly 2v2 in mid-jungle with this Ahri and Poppy early on, so I'll be interested to see. LGD though, their backline access is basically premium. I like that now with Ezreal and Xayah gone, there's not many AD carries that can stay particularly safe on the side of OMG. Please, bro, there are three champions who are going to be gunning for you on repeat. Don't do this.
And not a lot of peel, really, for OMG. I mean, I'm getting flashbacks to that game that they played in against Top Esports, where Starry got 10 kills on the Jinx and just got dove with the rest of his team all kind of betraying him. A little bit of mobility with the Corki will help at least a tad, as it looks like OMG are going to save that last pick for Moham once again. Opens up, though, for some possibilities for LGD. They already have a ton of damage in their kit, so they could go more utility-oriented, they can go more lane-oriented, and the Caitlyn is going to try to help them dominate that 2v2 against Starry and Moham.
Alistar feels a little bit bad. I'm kind of coming back around on my Leona pick here. I think the non-conditional engage with the ultimate is definitely nice. They do need someone who's going to be able to frontline. Doesn't seem like that's the case. So LGD, who's going to be buying space for Caitlyn and this Azir? This is a pretty risky comp coming in from LGD. They need to be able to play range perfectly. They need to make sure that they're taking space really, really well and playing around Caitlyn and Nico.
Whoa.
Okay, we're getting Moham on the Elise. All right, this is going to be a game of all time. For all the fans in chat, I wish you best of luck for your channel points, dog, because this is going to be all over the place. I can already tell.
Moham and Elise support, to me, is immediately a red flag if you're OMG. He's either going to go 10-0 or like 0-25, I feel like, in this game. That is the flip and the stark contrast on both the champion and the player here for this one. I'm curious to see how this is going to work out, because right now LGD's bot lane purely set up to try to outpoke this 2v2 lane, whereas if you're Starry and Moham now, you kind of have to go like fully all in onto one of these carries early.
Yeah, it does mean that probably Nico is going to be the first instance, so YCX does need to be a little bit careful. And what we need to see, I think, from the side of OMG is you do have some scaling elements. This Elise is going to be on a timer, but you look across from them, and there's not very many people that are going to be able to, you know, tank an Elise Cocoon or a Poppy going in. So I do really favor OMG as this game goes on. I think the fact that Ahri is going to have so many ways of being very mobile, it just now comes down for LGD is what summoner spells and how are they landing their ultimates, because a public execution and a Vi ultimate probably turns into 1 or 2 members dead, but on the crackback, what happens then? You've lost all of your spells. You've now lost your ability to really kind of forward that engage, and eventually you're going to have to deal with a Scion and a Poppy who are going to just get so incredibly tanky as the game goes forward.
Yeah, unless Caitlyn gets really ahead. As somebody who plays a decent amount of Scion, as a champion that I typically like running down a side lane and killing 20 minutes into the game. So that is potentially in the cards for Harry if LGD is not able to get off to a good start. So that is what we're looking at early on here in this game. LGD with their backs against the wall here in this series as we head into game 2 of this best of 3.
So, in my mind, Sion versus Ambessa should be like vaguely Sion favored.
It's tough. The Ambessa, like you can dash away from things. You know, the Q is very difficult to land early in the laning phase. And so, I think generally, like, I haven't played too much of this matchup, but I think this is one that Ambessa is able to do pretty well in.
The way that I visualize Sion is that he doesn't really care. He's just kind of like, cool, so you're going to push the minion wave because you're going to try and use spells on me in the minion wave. And then I will just press W. I will first back and hit plated steel caps or a bramble vest, and you will just simply have to lose the game and cry to your jungler. But we'll have to see. You know, plenty of... This is going to be a grasp with dying Ambessa. They have moved their bottom lane here. They have spotted Nio, so... He just gets completely booted off his jungle, and he wastes time? Oh, no. Oh, God.
And no option here, or no decision from LGD to do anything else. It does mean that the Caitlyn lane will get an early start to the push, but they were going to get that anyway here. And now Hung actually going to go for a level 2 gank here onto YCX. Already that cocoon and the Ignite landing here, as Moham, though, is getting a little bit low here. Hung coming over here with the heroic charge as Starry is forced to try to catch this wave that is crashing underneath the turret. Lethal Tempo has been procced here by Shaya, but misses out on that Piltover Peacemaker, which means that Hung will survive.
Okay, I mean, he gets to just go back to his jungle. I think it's fine for the time being. I like what Nio was actually doing here. He, again, showcased a little bit of creative pathing. Instead of going from his top side and then clearing bottom lane, he's actually going to be able to catch 2 of his camps here and immediately go back down. So... Or go back up towards top lane, maybe an answer in the mid lane, especially if we're talking about Ahri very early on.
Yeah, we already see Starry and Moham also missed out on a lot of XP for going for that play, and because they didn't get a kill, it means that Hung and Nio are basically on the same timer in terms of their clears. In fact, it's Nio actually going for a little bit of an invade himself, and maybe a dive in the works in the bottom lane if things go their way. It looks like he's going to spot out the blue buff not being taken, as Hung didn't want to be hung around there for too long, and so it will mean that Nio actually gets another camp in response, maybe even the better end of this trade.
That's a pretty big win, I think, coming in for Nio on this Vi. So showcasing some good pathing early on and adapting to some tricky situations here. He's going to immediately just cross through the river, utilize Sauce's priority from the top lane, try to cut Hung away from some of these other jungle camps on this side of the map. I love what we're getting from LGD in the jungle. Even last game, I had some question marks about his mechanics, but so far early on, he has been at least really, really receptive to changing up the idea of what he needs to do on this Vi, mostly covering for his lanes while also stopping Hung from getting much done.
And that's great to see here for a new player here on LGD, because we both thought that Climber was one of the more exciting pieces on this LGD roster, one that had 4 rookies on it, but was potentially still, you know, full of the opportunity for levels of success. And seeing him get benched, you know, a couple hours before our call time was a little bit surprising, because we were like, oh wow, I thought that Climber was going to be like a big piece of this team, and so this Nio guy better play pretty well, and so far he is doing that here for LGD.
For sure. So far, we'll have to see if this continues and if they can also just grab themselves a win. It's been a while since LGD have really been able to kind of take series, so going to need to see a bit of improvement, and hopefully the fresh blood in the jungle is something that's going to be able to provide that for them. They do have vision of Hung as he resets, but both bottom lanes immediately appearing into the top side. To me, this feels like LGD are going to be a little bit late to this Grubs in a minute's time. You already see that Nio is pathing up and trying to flip his path to end on the top side of the map. Hung is going to be behind there by about 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, so we'll see if the Dragon becomes the focus here. The Grub's also available, or who ends up dropping in a camp. Try to make sure that they're there for their team first around one of these neutral objectives. Is another relatively slow start to this game, kind of like what we saw in game number 1. However, it was around this point where the game did start to blow open here. Xiaoya and YCX still getting the better end of the 2v2 as they were up about 10 CS. The lane swap did not really result in much change overall. And I think we're just waiting for these grubs to spawn. Both mid laners now hitting level 6. Both teleports available for the top laners on the bottom side. Those grubs going to become very, very important here in this game.
Okay, so Moham gets control of the Tri-Brush for now, but, I mean, Nico plus Caitlyn just completely delete minion waves for free. Oh, Linfeng's just going on to XQW.
Yeah, lands a charm. Hung here as well. Popped the steadfast presence, but look at Nio. He's there first. And so that's first blood going over to LGD. Hung now in a 1v2. He's only level 4. One more auto attack would have taken out XQW, but he's not able to pick it up. Nio will shut him down with the Vault Breaker and make it 2-0 LGD.
Linfeng just needed to wait at the very least. You've already forced some of the summoner spells out from your mid laner. Now it's just 2 kills over to LGD. They'll also grab these early grubs. Great opener here from LGD in the mid jungle.
Oh my goodness. That was a little bit of a misplay from both Hung and
A little?
Linfeng in that play. Or yeah, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. As we have an ultimate pop here onto the Scion as well. Sasa trying to get some damage down onto Harry. Q will be available to chunk him out, but he's still a Scion. He's still going to be able to chunk up a lot of stuff, as with that 2v2 kill will be also Nio picking up those grubs.
Hung is in the top lane. Are they going to look for something here? Oh, that is the
cocoon.
Oh, he's just dead.
That's the all-in that they wanted, and here comes Hung. Will he be able to find this kill? But no! It's Xiaoya picking up the kill onto Starry first, and now Moham is running as far as he possibly can, but the Peacemaker will shut him down. It's a double kill for Xiaoya, and it's quickly 4-1 LGD.
All right, well, the game plan has gone from good to worse here for the side of OMG, as now Caitlyn's going to be at least have a little bit of time to recall here, gets a pretty big wave crashed under the turret, and now we're starting to see LGD, they have really good early games. This is kind of where the power spike for this team is going to lie within the first couple of items here particularly. We're going to replay this mid lane play. Linfeng, you have no mana. Why are we doing
dash
this?
again.
Yeah, like you dash in, you know that he has ultimate, at least at the very least. And this is, I think, Hung just misses an auto. I think he cancels it.
Like twice. Yeah,
oh,
he did it twice.
No. He has 10 HP. He literally has 10 HP on top. Oh, well.
That's a crazy
again,
cocoon as well,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah. This fight, good job from Xiaoya just stepping on forward. He recognizes he has enough damage, and there's so much priority going over to YCX. This is a very good start for LGD in their bottom lane.
So they find themselves up 1,500 gold. We'll say it's a very similar situation that OMG was in game number 1, Nalk, and they ended up not having the cleanest mid game after that. And so LGD are going to have to make sure they hunker down and put up a good performance for the rest of this game if they want to force a decider here in this series, the first series for both of these teams in Group Ascension. As with those major objectives both going over to LGD, it puts them at a good start, but still some more work to do.
And this is going to be really important these next couple minutes, because 2 minutes from now is going to be the grubs for the next dragon, but I am looking at that top side objective. No flash on YCX will make it very difficult for him to find, you know, any kind of flash pop blossom plays. So in that time, that does mean that OMG get a little bit of relief, and potentially they can try to leverage one part of their side lane. Remember, we are looking at these 2 solo lanes for OMG to really get a lot of use as this game goes forward, because there is no front line or official front line here for LGD.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, because in Best of I, they could be like semi front line, but at the end of the day, they also want to be pressing the R button onto the backline carries. That leaves a lot of opportunity for things like this here on to Starry. That's both of the ultimates used, and it does result in the 5th kill for the blue side.
Now a little bit of recall, just move over to the top side of the map. Great find coming in as well. At least buy some time for Sasa to probably get one more wave here, especially with YCX reinforcing his side of the map. And these are not optimal lanes you really want to be opting into as OMG. The Scion just giving a free laning phase, or some more free farm over to XQW, mostly just holding this lane. And Linfeng not feeling enough pressure to be able to go in and maybe find some damage down onto Xiaoya. So, and we don't even have the Rod of Ages yet. God, I wish that I'm ready for this build to go away.
It is very strong.
Yes, but this is like
playing.
tank Jace. If you remember, I hated tank Jace because I thought it was antithetical to the champion.
That is true.
This is another thing where like Ahri's not meant to do this.
Yeah, we're supposed to build like Ludens and play burst mages. But
I'm supposed to one-shot someone and then at like 35
Okay.
minutes complain that tanks are broken. You know, like this is.
But
this is how
also,
it goes.
when it's 25 minutes into the game and you're level 16, it feels pretty good. So you have to give him that.
True.
Anyway, 2,500 gold lead right now for LGD. Is they might not be getting to that point of the game right now. If you're an OMG fan, you got to make sure, try to find some opportunities to win some fights. Might see it here up in the top side as our mid laners are going at it. Linfeng chunking down XQW very low. That is coming at the same time as these grubs have respawned. It will mean that XQW has to go back. He does have the teleport though, as it looks like either side too eager to start this one up just yet.
Okay. But they just gave up control of this bush. I mean, Harry gets to walk up. He'll put a ward down. They'll have an idea as to where this Nico is. Now they definitely know. And Linfeng's sitting on the flank. Sasa needs to find Starry here. Maybe XQW can do something.
He got hit up by Decimating Smash. Meanwhile, Linfeng get chunked out, forced to dash away. That's 2 grubs at least picked up for OMG, but now it looks like they're on the defensive. Nico ultimate still available. Public execution. Lands in onto Harry. He will be the sacrificial scion. Takes a lot of damage here. The Soul Furnace buying some time, but it is XQW to pick up the kill.
Yeah, this could have been way worse for the side of LGD, and I think Linfeng's just dead now. Yeah, Azir's on his way. Nayo's coming.
Not a lot of damage. Does have the flash just available off of cooldown, but it's far too late at this point. Looks like Nayo, the good jungler here, wants to make some good relationships to start off his first series with the team. Says, hey, XQW, have this one. He's now 3-0.
There's a freebie, so Azir's really accelerated. You needed to find early plays as this Ahri and Poppy to make this game feel a little bit more close, but you're looking at those item completions. I mean, Sasa completing the Eclipse a little bit ago, and now you have first items for XQW and Xiaoya. You're going to be feeling very good for not only this play now with 4 grubs, but also, if you really want to, you already have your bottom lane down here. We can play for Dragon, too.
Why not? You're up so far that it doesn't matter if maybe you don't have the fastest, quickest timing. Just works pretty well if you are LGD. Nayo is on the way. XQW just pummeling onto this tier 1 tower as plates are going every which way for LGD, who want to force a game number 3 in this series in the Nirvana group, as we get a nice little cancel from Hung as the dragon is spawning in 5 seconds.
All right, Harry's moving first. This is adventurous.
OMG, they want to start the fight first. Oh my goodness, Xiaoya gets bursted down before the unstoppable onslaught from Harry even comes in. So that's the 80 carry for LGD down. He dies without having any summoner spells available to him, and that means that OMG get first dibs on this Drake.
Okay, good job. How much can XQW, I think at this point, like, yeah, have Nayo hold down this mid lane, maybe stop them from re-entering this side of the map very easily. Sasa is looking, but has 60% HP. Are they going to try to make a play with YCX and Flash Pop Blossom? I think it's tough.
No, at this point it's not worth it, especially after the dragon's already gone over. Unless you just find a random catch on a Mohawk, which they might have been able to do. Meanwhile, XQW, he's been chilling up here on the top side. He is getting stronger and stronger by picking up these waves and these plates, but it does mean that he's not here to potentially help his team out in a fight.
Well, he also just 1v1'd Linfeng, because Linfeng was having a hard time. Are we fighting this, guys?
Two-man keeper's verdict from Hung. Charge into the wall as well. YCX forced to flash away, and so is Nayo. Don't think that was worth it for potential contest of a blue buff, in my opinion. But it will mean that 2 summoner spells are already burned, and Harry is going to be fine on this top side as well.
I think that's a pretty big win coming in from OMG, consider with all the factors that we're seeing here. We get a replay finally of this play here. This is just the 2v2 that I was talking about. It wasn't exactly the Ahri, but having the Elise as well as the Poppy make it very, very deadly to walk around into terrain, to walk into choke points versus these 2 champions. So good snap coming in from the side of OMG. And like we were saying, XQW has been having a pretty strong handle on the matchup between him and Linfeng here. Half a level over his opponent, now level 11 on this Azir, and 2,000 gold to his name. He finishes that Nashor's Tooth, and suddenly, not only objectives, but also standoffs where they're just looking across at your opponent are going to feel very, very good if you are LGD.
Yeah, and it's a similar story to where we were putting Linfeng in game number 1, right? When he was 4-0 on the Aurora, we were like, okay, you have all the gold, you have all the resources, what can you do with it? Because we haven't necessarily seen Linfeng do much with those before, but he was able to actually have himself a very good game and actually drag OMG to that game 1 win. Gonna need to see the same thing from XQW. It's nice that you have this advantage right now, but it's about what you do with it, how you're able to take advantage of the lead that you have over your opponent.
And I love what Harry's doing here. You have so much health. Why not? Just use it as a resource. Walk in, allow your team to clear vision. Although I don't know how important bottom lane vision is. I know you want to try to at least stop XQW from maybe hitting this turret for free, but with a Herald on the opposite side, with this team having 4 grubs already plus this Azir, I think maybe putting some of your efforts towards the top side and dropping this might be a little bit more fruitful.
Essentially on the cards here, XQW just picking up another one of those tier 1 turrets. So he is getting very strong on this Azir. The gold continuing to go into his pocket. You can see he's 2,000 gold currently ahead of Linfeng on the Ahri. So gonna be a big bird. And now the last of the outer turrets is in the mid lane. It looks like the rest of LGD are trying to take this one down. The Caitlyn lane, the traditional, very nice siege composition, as you can also see the poke damage that XQW is able to inflict on the Moham like we were talking about.
Starting up this Herald, Moham has to take a recall after taking too much damage from XQW and YCX. You perfectly noted it there. I think having this siege comp when you're already ahead, and this Azir is literally a monster in this game, the true emperor of the Rift right now. He is just way too ahead, and so it'll be up to, if you're an OMG fan, you're looking at Linfeng and Hung. Can they get into the back line? Can they disrupt this Azir? It's only going to get tougher from here. He's going to get more HP. He's going to have higher base stats. Linfeng is nowhere near close to finishing a second item, it would appear, at least until this recall is finished. So by the time he gets to like his damage spikes, my worry is that LGD will be too far ahead at that point.
Yeah, and we're seeing them try to continue to snowball that lead in the mid lane. As the Rift Herald gets procced, likely we'll be able to take down this tier 1 turret. Looks like Nayo is going to help it out by driving it straight on into that tier 1, combined with the Pop Blossom onto the Poppy as Hung actually gets bursted down. And now Harry's in the middle of everything, and it's a bad spot right now for OMG. They instantly lose 2. Harry's still alive on the front line, and the 2 carries for OMG are as well. But it's not a good situation for them as they also just lose 2 at the cost of that turret going down for them.
I just don't understand what OMG is doing here. This is the OMG that we saw throughout all of Split 1 and even into Split 2 placements. Just feels lost. Just feels like, what exactly are we doing here? I get the idea coming out of the Herald. You want to try to use the Keeper's Verdict or the W to make sure that you kind of stop them in their tracks, but you have no way of reinforcing. Sion is not even here until after you're already kind of in position. And it's a really good ultimate coming in from YCX to open that up. So now we're in this game state where 2-item Azir, almost 2-item Caitlyn, and you're going to be looking at even the rest of the top side of this LGD that do so much damage that they don't really care that they don't have a front line. They can just delete your back line, and then OMG are just standing there like, oh, okay, well, now we don't do any damage, and we lose the fight. All right, cool.
Yeah, this is where the mid-game composition for LGD truly shine. When you have a lead and you're able to just continue to force picks like this, you see Linfeng already burning his flash. The response for OMG is to try to overload on the top side, take down this tier 1 turret. But it might come at a pretty hefty cost as Linfeng is on his way, but it's going to be a 5v4, at least for the moment, in favor of LGD. The tower goes down, but now let's see what OMG can do about it. Niall goes forward with the ball breaker, but cannot find an ultimate on anyone just yet. 2-man decimating smash, and now Hong actually sends 2 away. This could be OMG's opportunity. They land the charm only onto the Ambessa. Sasa's forced a flash. YCX with a 3-man Pop Blossom, and here comes the re-engage. Sasa into the back line, picks up a double kill instantly, and now OMG are forced to flash away. There comes the cease and desist. It's on to Starry, and Sasa is lying in wait. It's a triple kill, and it's going to be 4-0 LGD.
And they even have an Otacon in 30 seconds. I just kind of want to see them push with 4 grubs with the siege composition. OMG, they almost make it happen with a Poppy ultimate, but LGD on the crackback, they have this Nico ultimate that just completely eviscerates the back line. And it was a large trade of summoner spells here. They get control of the top side as well. I mean, this right here, we were saying, okay, 2-man knockup, Poppy ultimate, this should have been where we find them engaging, but Linfeng just isn't able to pull the trigger fast enough. The damage from Starry just isn't relevant, and then this huge Pop Blossom on top of the public execution just lights out here for OMG.
There's also a support Elise in the game at this point in the game. It's not picked up any kills, and that means that you are not a champion really at this point, as it's 4-0 on that fight. Dragon going to be started up by LGD as well. This is what we were hoping to see from this team of rookies that have shown promise, but never really getting a big win. This would be a very important series for them to take in terms of the hopes of them continuing on in the LPL. The Dragon gets secured. Hung looking for an engagement. It might just be a little bit too late, as here comes another big pop blossom. Once again finding 3 players here for YCX. Sasa now finally arriving as well. The Emperor survived from XQW is going to force the repel out of Mohan, but it's all too late as Sasa continues to get absolutely fed on this champion. The Ambessa has himself a triple kill.
Double triple kills here for Sasa, and LGD just look like they can do no wrong. 21 minutes, 17-2. This was the kind of gameplay that we wanted to see coming in from LGD on the day, and even kind of the gameplay that we were expecting all the way back in the promotion bracket that, unfortunately, that put them here in the group Nirvana. So now it's just a matter of closing out, man. 10,000 gold at this point. This looks like it should be a lot closer of a finish than we got in Game 1.
It's going to be the Otacon taken as well here for LGD. 10,000 gold, 21 minutes in. And talking about that format a little bit as well, Alk, we continue to mention the bottom 2 teams in this group get eliminated for both 2025 Split 2 and Split 3. If you finish towards the top 2, that means you actually get a chance to play for the playoffs, and that's something that a team like LGD would certainly like to have.
True. I do want to be a little hesitant about putting them in top 2 in this group. You know, Ultra Prime and RNG showed, I think, better quality games throughout some of their play in the promotion bracket. So, if we're being fair, OMG/LGD is not exactly top of the table, even for our group Nirvana pool. So, I totally agree in the fact that the format definitely means that every game matters. So, we'll have to see if OMG can kind of put up any of a fight here as Nayo.
They did chunk out Nayo pretty well, but Sasa with the public execution does a lot, but they finally do shut down the Vi. They land a knockup onto the Ambessa, who now does not have an ultimate, and here comes YCX with the Nico ultimate. Will she be able to find anything? Hung wall bangs Sasa in. A 2-man decimating smash comes in as well. Pop Blossom only finds the Scion. OMG are down 15 kills, but are still looking for a team fight. Hung going to get taken by XQW. Will be 2 kills once again going over, but the rest of OMG will be able to escape with a numbers even trade.
Okay, well, and this was all for a blue buff. Imagine what they'll do around a Baron. So,
not there
2 minutes
just
time
yet.
before that. Yeah, 2 minutes before that's going to be spawning. I don't have much else to say. I mean, there's probably a Caitlyn ultimate here. Oh, it's just barely off cooldown. Goddamn. Well, they're just losing fights on repeat now, and Linfeng hasn't even completed a second item. He's going to be able to maybe pick up this bottom lane wave and be finished with Leandri's, but there's already a Seeker's Arm Guard. This is feeling like, hey, last-ditch efforts here for OMG. Is there any last plays we can make before this game is over? And even around this blue buff, cool, you got Nayo, but Sasa on this Ambessa just does way too much. So much Omnivamp, and it's just too much of a raid boss.
But does it make you wonder, just a little bit, Alk, what could happen?
Made me wonder about Game 3.
If one more fight goes OMG's way? Never mind. Never mind.
Now we come out of the replay and Hug's dead.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
It is 20-4. Grapes, please. There's look. I know we're both North American residents. We're used to the copium of having to come back in games on the international stage, but we don't have to do that here. We're just international representation when it comes to the LPL broadcast.
It's 11K at the 24-minute mark, as we see the result. It looks like Hung just stepped on a trap, and that eventually resulted in his demise. Nice ultimate coming out from XQW as well. And now we wait for the Baron to spawn. That's kind of the timer that LGD seem to be playing on. I think OMG are more than content to give that up because they know that if they try to go for a fight, they're going to get aced.
And they just deal with this, with any objective, honestly, incredibly fast. Azir, Caitlyn. So, exciting stuff, especially for an LGD roster that seemingly is going through a rebuild. You know, at the very beginning of the year, we saw them playing with Climber. They had Meteor waiting in the wings as their coach. Thought maybe, one of the most historic junglers in the LPL being able to help a fresh new blood here would, maybe bring in some veterancy, some tips, level up his baseline. But now with Nayo, I will say, even in their loss, Nayo definitely seems like he is not only, I think, more fluent in his gameplay so far, but has also been...
Oh,
Oh my god, no, no, no,
XUW,
no,
he runs into
no.
a decimating smash. He's able to go golden. However, the Keeper's Verdict does send one away. Nio is in some trouble. You might have just cast a curse this man, all because OMG are chasing the jungler for LGD down. XUW doing a lot of damage on the backside. Now you lives for so long.
Oh my god,
and
but
finally,
XUW!
we'll get taken down. Pop Blossom will pick up one. XUW with a 2-man Emperor's Divine. And Sasa is invincible in this team fight. He will finish things off for LGD and secure themselves an ace.
There we go. It looked a little questionable there. XQW, he was like, guys, even after game one, I still got to make this game questionable for us. So he's going to move in. They've got 4 grubs. How much structure damage can they get down? It's 10 seconds before the next member in Moham, but these Caitlyn headshots are going to hopefully do something fierce.
They're going to try. They got 3 members at least to take the inhibitor. They will back off for now after that. The Baron is available, and Naya respawns in about 10 seconds. The 3rd Dragon for them, also a topic of conversation. It looks like instead it'll be resets and redeployments as LGD expand their gold lead. It's now over 12,000.
All right, so replay. XQW gets hit with this. Not necessarily blind. The fact that he still has vision there is really disturbing. And I like the idea of this, but look what happened. Look what Hung does here. Somehow he's able to hit the Nico away, so fine enough for me, but Nio just wastes so much time, lets his team get back into this fight. Where is Linfeng? Man, you're playing Ari. We have W Flash. We even have our Spear Rush. Oh!
Wait, that was the anti-synergy of all anti-synergy.
No, there is no waiting. There is no waiting. We are going next. We are getting ready for this next game. 25-6. There's a Baron. LGD, let's just take this damn objective and let's win the game.
They should be able to take this, no problem.
Please.
I mean, if at this point, if you're OMG, why not just go for a fight? Because you know you're probably going to lose anyway after this Baron goes down. But they're not even going to get there in time, as it looks like they'll use this timer to just get a little bit of mid-prio. Hung, not even in the opportunity to get for a steal. And Sasa just going to chase him down. Actually, no, the Keeper Verdict will get him away. And so it's now a 13,000 gold lead for LGD. They'll have the Baron for a little bit. They don't even want to go for the resets. They just want to try to end this game right now. They want to get to a game 3. Nio gonna maybe spot out Hung. No, he's able to jump away back to safety, as now the inhibitor is going to be under fire.
Okay, they've got a top lane wave here, double super minions, and Bessa plus this Caitlyn. You could always reinforce this. I think this should just be the death nail, and we'll see if OMG can be a little creative and maybe find some angles.
Finds a charm here for Linfeng, but it's cleansed away instantly by Xiaoya. There's the verdict. Locks away 2. Sasa dashing into the back line. Another really nice Pop Blossom, though, from YCX. And that should do it. Hung is forced to run the wrong way. Away from his base. Away from the Nexus, which is where LGD will reside. We are headed to a game number 3, our second of the Nirvana stage, as LGD will win this one in just over 28 minutes.
Look, they got it done in half the amount of time almost it took for OMG to be able to win this one. And LGD...
Welcome back, everybody. Right into the draft we go for game number 3 between OMG and LGD. Grapes and Alk Battery here for this final game of our Group Nirvana matchup. And OMG looked very dominant in that first game, interestingly enough. Or sorry, LGD looked very dominant in that last game. And so OMG swapping over to blue side this time around as we get right into things. Alk, let's break things down here.
It'll be their first time here being blue side in this draft, and Varus, most importantly, the champion that makes it through finally in a trade for the Jackspan, one of Sasa's most well-known champions when he was back in the LDL. So good pickup already here for Starry, and for LGD, they are just running through these bans immediately. We get to see the Tristana, who we do expect to see in the mid lane, but a Lilia here for Nio.
I mean, it could be a bot lane pick as well, although having the 80 mid laner alongside the AP jungler is pretty typical at this point when you want to set up an early draft setup for your team comp. See what the response is here for OMG. Linfeng is known for playing some wacky stuff. The hover is suggesting that we might get that, and it's going to be a Yasuo early on in this draft during the first phase. Would expect this to be paired up alongside something like a Gragas, like an Alistar, get some knockups in there.
For sure. Alistar would be definitely really high priority. It does mean that OMG are looking to play a little bit of a longer game here, however. Early lane, Yasuo is not necessarily known for his prowess, at least not how it used to be, so I like this from OMG, though. Even just having the Varus and the Maokai, you have such strong setup. You have damage from range to be able to poke out a Tristana and a Lilia. This is a really good opener, I think, coming in from OMG.
Again, we are in that true fearless format as well, so that's why we're starting to go down the tier list a little bit. You take a look at the bans, or sorry, the bottom of your screen with the champions chosen. A lot of really powerful picks in the meta already have been selected. The Gwen, the Nephiri, the Ambessa, the Vi, even something like an Azir or a Sion that has been rising in popularity. None of those will be available here as well, which is why we're seeing things like this Yasuo pop up as we enter the second phase of bans with an Alistar being picked up for YCX.
I think OMG do need to start being worried a little bit about topside champions, especially when we look at champions like Renekton that they're going to be able to play for Sasa. Also thinking about potential Cassante picks here for either team. I think LGD would probably prefer to have a Cassante on their side, but you already have the Gnar and the Gwen gone. I think there's not very many answers, unless we're going to be getting more Udyr, which has been a bit of a specialty pick for some of our players in the LPL.
Yeah, I think specifically Sasa actually has played that quite a bit in the top lane, even as recently as earlier this year. So that could be a possibility here. Hung on the other side also has some of those wacky picks, things like that, and the Nunu always can be available, as you could always flex that Maokai down to the support position for Moham. The AD carry's pinched right now. Looks like Shai is going to want to lock one in right early on. Will be the Misfortune to provide some extra team fighting ability. It also guarantees that XQW is going to be the one on that Tristana.
Okay, so we get the Rakan as a knockup. I do like the Misfortune when it comes to being able to fight Varus in the laning phase, but I am just super worried here for LGD. I feel like there's not very many champions that are going to deal very well with the Rakan and the Maokai at the same time. You're going to need a tank that's going to be able to not only withstand and deal with the Sion, or with the Renekton that potentially is being hovered here. Now you're also going to have someone else that isn't just this Alistar that can block a Maokai ultimate, that can stop the Yasuo as well. So what does LGD have otherwise? I'm really liking what OMG, despite how low range they can be.
Part of me wants to see like a Malphite or something. The Udyr, there it is. First Asa,
okay.
Something that soaks up a ton of damage. You look at OMG's composition, it is all physical damage except for Hung on the Maokai, who, sure, he could build a Liandry's, but once we get into the later portions of that game, that magic damage is not going to stack up much against something like this Udyr. So a really nice front line with Sasa and YCX to set up a double marksman composition for LGD with Nayo on this Lilia, who's going to be able to pump up a lot of DPS as well.
And what I love about this Udyr, that in conjunction with an Alistar, it just becomes almost impossible for OMG to really find angles. We're going to need to see creative engagements coming in from Moham and Hung, and control around space is going to be so pivotal. The Maokai makes it a lot easier, but when you look on the opposite side from them, I mean, Udyr just gets to walk into 4 melee champions and have a field day with the Cryo Phoenix. I mean, this is as good as it's going to get, and as well as an immobile AD carry. I don't think it gets much better as an Udyr angle.
Yeah, there's not a ton of long, hard long-range engage for the side of OMG in this draft, or for LGD in this draft, but they're going to be okay with it because it's going to be almost impossible for OMG to run into them when you have an Alistar, when you have an Udyr top lane like this, and even the Lilia, who can also loves to be in team fights with these melee champions, who can play from range with the Blooming Blows, can land the Lilting Lullabies, and pick up really big crowd control ultimates for this double marksman composition. The MF Lilia, another combo that we should be focusing on here. As here we go, game number 3 between LGD and OMG in the group Nirvana. Winner getting one step closer to keeping their season alive and getting the opportunity to play in Split 3, if not even make a push for the playoffs.
This will be the first game we see. These are the first games we have seen here in Split 2 after the placement stage. They were not taking part. We had none of our Nirvana games in the first 3 days, so got to see some of our group ascend, but it's been a while since we've seen some of these teams, especially for OMG, who didn't even make it into the promotion bracket. They just had to play, they got 4th in their group and were kind of just done for at least for a couple weeks, so gonna be exciting to see if they're able to bounce back. Obviously taking a pretty devastating loss in Game 2, a very close victory in Game 1. But you do have to feel that with how the series has trended, LGD early game has been, I think, just the better team so far.
I forget who I was having this discussion with here, Alk, but what do you think? Does it feel better to be OMG and just like get completely stomped in that last game and feel like, okay, it was just a bad game, like let's get back at it? Or does it feel harder to come back, like if you're LGD, after you seem like you were in such a good position to win game 1 and then having that like kind of fall away from you and finding yourself down in the series?
I would prefer the emotional momentum of being able to hold the last win in the series before going into game 3 in a best of 3, but you know, there are merits and there are, you know, a bunch of different factors that go into it, so going to be really interesting to how this game kind of pans out. We're already seeing both junglers starting on opposite sides of the map. There is a lot of early vision from LGD to try to spot out where this Maokai is. And interesting from YCX and Xiaoya how this Alistar is being played. Typically, Alistar level 1 is not necessarily known for its prowess, but really just wanting to trade very early on and giving up a little bit of his HP bar just to secure level 2 and potentially looking for a dive in a minute and a half time.
Very aggressive from YCX in that 2v2, who quietly has been having a pretty good series overall against OMG here to kick off split number 2. I mean, had a good set on the Nico just the last game, and so if he can find engages like that on the Alistar this time around, it will be big for LGD in terms of trying to find themselves that final push here in this series. Look at the top lane. A little bit of trading overall, but Sasa is going to be very happy just soaking up damage and clearing out these waves. Harry does hit level 3, but so does Sasa, and he should be okay, at least for now.
This is just the annoying part. He gets to out-sustain you as the Udyr. He almost always wins the push. The one thing you can do as this Renekton, you can just... Oh, wait a minute, XQW. Oh, no.
Oh, rocket jumping right
XQW?
onto the head of Linfeng. The lethal tempo has been procced. Remember, it was Linfeng actually played the Tristana earlier on today, but it was in that 1v1. And it didn't end up working out so well for him. So now maybe he has that extra confidence. He's like, this champion sucks. I can do fine against it.
See, no, he has the... Oh, Linfeng. Linfeng's probably just going to have to flash here.
Yeah, does XQW have the rocket jump?
XQW flash? No? Okay.
Okay. They know Hung's in the area, or at least finishing up that clear on the top side, and so they don't want to go too far forward. Nice wind wall to block away the swirl seed. It's a little bit extra poke. Does mean that XQW is able to crash this wave in, and probably get himself at least a nice reset. And we're still at a standstill pretty early on in this game. Again, the stakes are pretty high. However, you look at the lanes right now, actually OMG are the ones who are winning out in the CS department early.
And look at what LGD are already doing. Because they had priority, or they at least freed up Xiaoya to immediately leave. He's already up top lane using that strut passive really, really well. So be able to continue to put Renekton down for the time being. And they also have Nayo on this side of the map, so anybody who shows up, if they stay under this turret, it does make it incredibly difficult for them to continue to push. And, I mean, really you're just focused as LGD, just get level 6 on both of these junglers, honestly. And it opens up so many playmaking tools, and when you look at how their champions do tend to operate, they're very reliant on having long-range engagement tools.
See Harry actually use the teleport down to the bot lane. That could be important, as both top laners won't have those summoner spells when the grub spawn up top. Meanwhile, Starry actually in a lot of trouble. Xiaoya flashing over Moham to try and get some extra damage. That not end up becoming worth it, as just ended up being a trade of those summoner spells for the AD carries.
Yeah, it will mean that come this Herald fight in a minute's time, that it will be a little bit more difficult for them. I like that YCX is spending his time by playing Human Ward and clearing out some vision away from OMG. I will. There's arguments to be made on both sides, right? Because you're looking across, there's still going to be an Alistar. There's now a no Flash Varus going to be playing against a potential Udyr in 3 minutes time. The opposite side, I mean, Flash Maokai is always possible, right? So.
And as soon as Linfeng hits level 6, that could be opened up as well. You just need the Bramble Smash onto one single target, and that can immediately be, you know, combined with that last breath, and that could be a big combo that means some big damage for OMG in this game. Still very even in terms of gold. The grubs are spawning in 20 seconds. Right now, Hung has the first move towards the top side, but Nayo is soon to follow, and more importantly, he's going to help XQW pick up that mid priority. But gets spotted up by Hung. But the control ward will spot him out. Linfeng going for the two-man knockup, does combine it with the last breath. but not enough damage in response. The Windwall doing a ton to block out all the DPS that Nayo is able to provide, though. There comes the Eep 2-man knockup. It will be first blood, secured by LGD, as Hung flashes away from the knockup of YCX.
And that should just be a couple more of these grubs. I like that Nayo actually stays mid. He soaks just a little bit of experience. He hits level 6, and he gets the level up as well, so he'll get the HP. He'll also get all of these honey fruit. Got to be feeling really good. Good job here from LGD to find those kills, but now OMG, they're even moving up Harry to just make sure they can contest for these grubs.
Yeah, Star and Harry getting first move does mean that OMG, despite not having their jungler at level 6, are able to get the priority around the grubs. So that is a small win for them. However, it will be matched by Sasa, getting a big wave under turret, getting him a free reset, and also that kill, of course, going over to LGD. It was a very aggressive play from Linfeng, maybe a little bit too aggressive, as Hung was never really in the area and had the opportunity to do much in that fight.
I thought Hung was just going to flash forward and try to find it, because he already landed Q3 as Yasuo, just walk forward, and he has the last breath, but decides not to do it. I wonder if we're going to get a replay of that fight. Either way, it now does lead into this Tristana being able to push. They're going to try and reinforce top lane. Good use of the bullet time really just nice to prevent the dive from coming through. And look, Linfeng is still coming through, but he's getting pinged out.
Yeah, so it will result in actually nothing being picked up here for OMG on that top side. Nicely done by Shaya. XGW going to rocket jump away from the Rakan, as now Hung's next target will be this enemy red buff that has just respawned. It looks like he will be able to pick it up. The response could be the dragon or just the bot side camps that Nayo could be able to grab here on the blue side.
Harry did a really fantastic job of actually covering for the first time Nayo when we were watching this Lilia before. She was actually able to only steal a few of the minor chickens away, and so Harry at least wasting some of this Lilia's time, but Lilia only gets faster and faster on the clear, now taking the red buff on top of that, so Nayo is going to be supercharged when it comes to the jungle, and Hung's got to be careful here. He now knows. He has an ID. He's like, alright, well, Lilia's taking two of my camps, so I'm just going to take my Krugs and probably take a recall, try to run up towards top lane.
We'll see what the rest of the movements look like. That first dragon hasn't been taken yet by anybody, and it's really even in this game here. OMG slightly up in gold, slightly up in terms of objectives with that first grub camp, but LGD do have that kill on the Tristana. XQW. Pressure might come back to him as well. The double marksman, I think, overall here for LGD, as they're going to be the ones who have to dish out the damage combined with the setup of LGD's front line.
So, looking at the objectives, I mean, still have this dragon up, but with where the game is at this point, I think we're probably going to be waiting for those second grubs before we see any kind of movement towards the Drake pit. Still there's no flashes here from either of our AD carries, and I'm honestly surprised we haven't gotten a little bit more motion from our junglers around this lane. I mean, Maokai has ultimate coming up. There is a potential for them to be able to look for something. Nayo is going to be starting up the dragon during all of this.
And we'll be able to probably pick it up unless the rest of OMG come down. It looks like they actually will by shoving out that mid wave. Will be matched by Shaya and YCX. Actually, Chain of Corruption goes in on the Alistar. He does not have the ultimate to try to cleanse himself away from it with the Blight Stacks. It does a ton of DPS to him. The Nature's Grasp takes him below 200 HP. Meanwhile, ultimate traded here as Harry already has Dominus popped. And with that full Rage Bar, it will actually force Nayo away, as OMG actually will gain control around the Dragon Pit, but are not strong enough to pick it up.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to stop this, and it does buy a little bit of time for Starry to actually hit on this wave. A lot of good damage being landed there onto YCX. And a small support differential here. The fact that YCX does not have ultimate, he will get it the next time he shows up on a wave, but...
Oh, bullet time. Well, that was just way too far forward from Shaya. Starry forces the flash away from the Misfortune, not wanting to get hit up by that upgraded Q. So that's more priority for OMG in the mid lane. The Grub's now spawning in 40 seconds. That Dragon's still not taken, by the way, as Nayo will once again start it up.
Well, now they're just going to make a dive on top lane. XUW has no jump. Sasa can teleport for this.
Knockup connects.
But There
comes the last breath. It's all fine and dandy here for OMG. They get themselves their first kill of the game, and those Grubs also available.
I just don't know if they're going to be able to go for Grubs here. I mean, they'd have to reset. They did just use a few of their tools. Linfeng's half HP. They'll probably just recall here. Lilia will be out and onto the map. Has the Leandry's finish at the same time as this Maokai. You see the pings coming out. They have this Rakan ultimate. They know that Last Breath is a very low cooldown very early on. So they're going to invest all of these resources towards the top lane, towards playing towards these grubs. They already have 3. If they can get 4 or 5, you suddenly make Yasuo and Renekton very potent to deal with. I still am worried about the side lane, though, when you're playing against an Udyr who's rushed a Thornmail here at 11 minutes.
Yeah, that Udyr's going to be tough to kill. It's going to be up to Starry most likely with some percent HP damage with Blight stacks, but he is going with the lethality build, which doesn't become very easy to kill that Udyr. We'll see how the rest of this game goes, but right now the fight is around these grubs. LGD want to try to even up the count. They at least get 1, but here comes OMG. Dominance already popped. XQW jumping in onto Linfeng, who pops the wind wall, but the big ultimate on the other side comes in from Moham. The quickness knocks up one. There comes Linfeng with the last breath, and Xiaoya is already down. Linfeng now dashing into the YCX. Flashes to follow it up, and the feats of warfare are claimed by OMG. Nayo still wants the kill.
Nayo!
He steals away one of the grubs and pops the losing low by onto 3 members. Hung dashing forward. Will it be enough? Sassi's still low, but will be able to survive. Starry gets bursted down by XQW, but Linfeng is still alive. He's dashing and slashing his way through, but Sassi still doesn't die. He picks up 1. He flashes himself in the bow and gets a double kill. The Udyr is unstoppable here. It's just now a 1v2, and Harry will fall. It's an ace for LGD.
Oh my god, they had so much damage on the YCX, but it just doesn't matter. Lilia, Sasa, and XQW, the top side of LGD, who we had so many doubts of throughout this entire series, come up clutch in a fight around the grubs. It's still going to be 4 grubs going over to OMG, but look at the start of this play. The tanks just, kind of spending a lot of time wasting OMGs here, and this is where it got a little bit questionable. A great engage from Moham gets Linfeng right into the back line. And we're thinking from this point, this is OMG's win, but now Linfeng's nowhere near the area. Nayo with this 4-man sleep just makes so much work for his team. And then Sasa. The fact that Sasa lives for so long in this fight is an abomination of Udyr champion design. So everybody, you can point and laugh. Turtle stance, auto, turtle stance, auto, tiger stance, phoenix, flash auto, 1 million healing, type B.
Okay, is it an abomination of the champion design, or is it the fact that he picked Udyr full tank into a full AD composition with the lethality?
I'm going to say the funnier one is making fun of champion design because everybody loves to do it. It's low-hanging fruit. But we did say from draft, Udyr's kind of Thanos here, so...
Yeah. It's going to be really hard to kill him. I mean, I don't know. We might need a Shadow Flame out of Hung or something to try to do any sort of damage to this guy. Because there's no disincentive for him to just continue to stack armor. 2-0 and 2 in this game. And now the AD carries are starting to get fed as well. Full Yuntal's available for XQW. And actually the big beneficiary in that last fight was Nayo. 4,000 and 5,000 damage dealt on his lonesome in that last team fight.
Right. Well, for the time being, we're kind of waiting to see how LGD are going to be able to move around some of these solo lanes. Again, newest pickup in Nayo here for XQ. Okay, nice job on buffering that away. That could have been very dangerous with a Yasuo and a Maokai in the area, but does mean that they are giving up mid-wave priority. I wonder if Linfeng, he knows. Nope, he does not. Well, sleep's already landed, bro. Sorry,
yep. Man. Linfeng probably dead here. Not going to find anything. There's the Blooming Blows from Nayo to pick it up. That's kill number 2 for him. Goldie slightly now in favor of LGD after winning that last team fight and also getting the kill. Should have priority around this dragon as well. Remember, they were actually able to pick it up, the first one of that one, I should say, off of the extended back and forth across the map. So that's actually a slight advantage that's going to go towards them here.
I think personally, I don't really care about this dragon right now. I think we're looking at 45 seconds on top side. Not only the Otacon spawning in that area, but this Herald spawning in 40. I really want to try to take down this mid-tier one if I can help it. It would not only help Xiaoya to be able to move around the map and feel a little bit safer about pushing forward, but it also would kind of open up this map so that Nayo can then move around with this Tristana and look for, picks into side lane, trying to grab early, to try to grab some respawned camps. I think that would make it much more difficult for OMG to be able to play this game.
I just keep looking at this team comp here, all. if you're Starry, how do you not go? How are you building? Why are you building lethality here? I
Okay,
don't get it.
so the thought process here is you can probably still go like Edge of Night and it's kind of fine. It's just I don't want to get into an auto attack war versus Misfortune and Tristana ever. Like,
okay,
these
that's
champions
fair.
are naturally building crit, so they're just gonna naturally deal more damage than me. Tristana has higher burst potential than I do. Xayah hits like a truck with the love taps, so it's a bit more difficult. I think wanting to outrange them is perfectly fine. You're just hoping that I'm able to out-damage and outrange people like Nayo, people like Xayah and XQW before this Udyr becomes fun.
Yeah, the Udyr might already be at fun mode. Let's see. This is a good litmus test right now, as he's just able to run away from that ultimate being thrown out by Linfeng. I mean, the armor pen, the lethality only does so much armor pen. At some point, Sauce is going to be pretty unstoppable. That's what I was thinking. If you go like the on-hit build, you at least have a little bit of extra percent HP damage, some extra on-hit, but not going to happen this time.
All right, well, that's going to be the Herald going over to OMG. Linfeng and Hung are already there. It's going to be a little bit of damage using this bullet time from Xayah, but again, this is just to make sure that we have mid priority, and they're making a fade towards bottom lane.
Let's see. Harry, gonna have to press that back button soon, man. Otherwise, here comes YCX. Okay. He's able to get underneath his tier 2. That should be fine. The response here in the mid lane is OMG proccing that Rift Herald. Gonna try to at least take this one over. Moham.
Oh, they get first
Gonna
turret
drive
here.
this one in. Should be first turret if they pick it up. But the question is, the wave clear for Xayah is just too much. I don't think they're gonna be able to secure all of it.
Wow.
Meanwhile, XQW doing a good job pressing on this bottom side, but won't be able to get that turret either, as Harry's able to clear out that wave nicely.
Why didn't Hung just use his ultimate, man? Just force your ultimate, get the first turret, get yourself feats of strength. I mean, there's time in between the objectives. Now they're going to lose first turret to Tristana. Udyr's literally just farming away versus this Yasuo. Who cares? And it's going to be, at the very least, another minion wave before they're just going to lose first turret here. I really feel like if they wanted to make sure they get that gold and take out that mid-tier one, that should have been their play with the Rift Herald in the foregrub. So now it's a punishment. Now LGD get the first turret and they get gold into this Tristana.
You know, and I don't think that this is a coincidence that this is the slowest game that we've had for a team like OMG. You know, it's a game 3, do or die. First time that they've been at an elimination match or quote-unquote elimination
you've been
in
outplayed.
the series yet. And so it seems like they're playing a little bit more passively this time, which I don't think works for their composition. You're going up against an Udyr who's building his full armor and a double marksman comp. It's going to be very tough for them. They're going to have to try to make something happen quickly, but it's just not working out for them, as now YCX getting targeted here. Okay, here comes Linfeng. There comes the last breath. It knocks up just Nalyo, but he's able to flash away. Here comes the re-engage. Harry's able to pick up the first kill. It will be a 1-0 so far, and the health bars are on OMG's side. However, Sasa still full HP. XQW still trying to dish out some DPS. Bullet time comes out. Moham forces the flash away. And now LGD can go for the re-engage. Harry must try to lock down the Tristana, and XQW will fall, but it will be matched by Harry going down. Now Xayah stuck in a bad stats of things, but now the Udyr is ready to cook here in this team fight off. Nayo taking down Moham. It's a triple kill for Nayo. It's going to be a quadra kill, a pentakill for Nayo. Welcome to the LPL, my friend.
Yeah, welcome back from Rare Adam. Nayo in one of his first games of 2025. We get a pentakill finally here. We've had a couple quadra kills, but finally it comes through LGD in the Nirvana group. We said early on that Lilia versus all these melees was going to feel good, that Sasa with this Udyr was going to feel good, but damn, do LGD. They have come here to win.
I mean, I was just watching the Udyr in that fight. I didn't even realize that Nayo was in a position to get himself a penta. Let's watch this one again. I mean, he was the one who got engaged on to start the fight.
Yeah, it's this ultimate from Varus that kind of lands it. You called it there. You said that he flashed out of the pit, so he's no longer in that much of trouble. And then I'll be honest, I feel like Harry just has such little threat in these fights. It's this flash engage onto XQW. Eventually, that kind of turns the tides here. But even in the picture-in-picture, man, LGD just don't stop winning here. No one is hitting this Lilia.
And she's just able to run in. Do a lot of damage with these blooming blows. Being, of course, that sole magic damage champion at this point in the game. You know, Sasa does a little bit. And that's it.
Yeah.
Wow,
All right.
okay. That was complete RNG. Sasa, I saw that, man. You were trying to steal the penta from your new player.
He says you gotta own it, bro.
The
You gotta
Leandry's
earn
burn.
it.
He got it through the Leandry's burn, but Sasa was hidden away. What the hell, man?
Earn it, brother.
That's why I wasn't expecting the pentakill. I saw Naya was in Zonia. It was like pretty low HP.
Yeah.
And just RNG'd his way into it. Okay, hey. Nice job, man.
All
Now,
right.
LGD, they're 4,000 gold. They got a kill on the Moham in that picture-in-picture, and they get their third dragon. This game looking very much in their control at this point.
That 4,000 gold is entirely the Lilia now, which is really funny to look at. But, I mean, you take a look at even some of the experience differentials from these two players, and I mean, Xiaoya is a full level on his lane opponent. Sasa is about half a level. Take a look at this player gold as well. He is by and far away the richest player. So now, Nayo yet again, a game where he has keys to the kingdom to carry this game. It was the Neferian game 1 that unfortunately still ended in a loss. This time around, Nayo with this Lilia, I mean, him and Sasa are essentially unkillable now that with the Zonias and the 2 item spikes that Sasa has on the Zudir. So we need to see them pilot this perfectly.
Well, they're going to try to kill the seemingly unkillable champion here in the Lilia. Throws out the Chain of Corruption, not even close to finishing off a kill. And there comes Sasa into the back line. This Udyr just continuously, unrelentingly going after OMG in a 1v5. And he's able to run away with his life. Linfeng ults to his doom. And now here comes LGD. The rocket jumps forward from XQW. Will get himself a double kill.
Okay, well, that's just got to be the end of the game here. They're going to grab Otacon. It's going to be Ruinous Otacon as well. So increased rewards from the 3 dragons that they already have access to, a ton of these Blood Roses. So the experience differential is only going to grow. OMG for their prizes, they'll at least grab themselves mid-tier 1, but Grapes, it feels like it's been a 3-0 basically from LGD. Minor missteps in game 1, but this is just, this game's over.
If we just didn't for fun it, like around enemy base
top side,
in 45 minutes into the game, like 30 minutes into the game, when we had a 10k gold lead, LGD would have won all 3 games against OMG, and that's very promising here for a team that we were hoping to see a lot of. A team full of rookies. Get another look at this fight. Look at all the resources that are thrown to this Lilia. Doesn't even have to pop his Zonias or anything. Just walks away scot-free.
Yeah, there's just not enough damage here. I mean, it's Starry here with this Varus, who unfortunately the arrows only do so much, and then Sasa literally gets to walk in 1v3, then 1v4. He actually forces what looks to be like some shielding for this Yasuo. It's just not enough. There's no damage from Linfeng, and now XQW in this double AD carry composition just gets to fire away for free.
Yeah.
All right, it was Mikhail's from Moham. There we go. So even through that, it just doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I like literally at this point, like I think Sasa could 1v5 soak up damage for like 15 seconds and still live through everything. And so that's not even saying, you know, the rest of the team around him, right? So Baron buff up in 25 seconds. They already got the Otacon. You can see the rose petal difference adding to what is already a 5,500 gold lead for LGD, not to mention the team comp difference that we already have mentioned. And if you're OMG, there's not much you can do at this point. Look at Linfeng right now also getting bursted underneath his tier 2. YCX and the rest of the squad taking down this top lane turret, and just a small response on the other side from Harry. It's not going to matter too much if you just keep losing towers on the other side of the map.
They literally, it doesn't even matter if Harry split pushes. It's going to be gold, like short-term gold, just to maybe edge some of it back into their favor. But you got a 5,000 gold lead deficit between Nayo and XQW and their lane opponents. And the game doesn't get easier. Yes, maybe Yasuo 3-4 items. If you find a pick, here onto...
Here we go. One attempt. It will be a pick. Nicely done by Moham to set that one up. And so OMG going to try to find something after already taking down XQW in that fight. It looks like, though, without any more engaged tools, no quickness, no last breath, it will be them just backing off.
I mean, Grapes, look, I would be honest. It's cool. It slows down the game. We just don't know how meaningful it's going to be. There's nothing to play for. If anything, they kind of come up trumps in that because they trade the kill on XQW for a TP from Harry. So I mean, now this dragon's coming up, and OMG are forced every single dragon, even if they steal this one, they still have to play for the next one in 5 minutes, and then the next one 9 minutes after that. So, OMG, if there was ever a time for you to just have some kind of heroic, insane team fight, it has to be literally here. Otherwise, there's an Ocean Soul, and the game's extremely over.
Okay, but like, I just don't understand. I don't know how you kill this Udyr. That's the one thing. Like, you can find a pick on the XQW. You can find a pick on a Xiaoya, but at this point, the stronger players in this game are Nayo and Sasa. And those two have take a lot of time to kill, especially with the team composition that OMG have and the deficit that they are facing right now. The Dragon has been started up, and looks like this could be OMG sending it all the way in this do or die game number 3. Here comes that Nature's Grasp, but a 3-man knockup already comes in from YCX.
He stole it!
The Dragon is stolen away by Hung, and XQW is forced to rocket jump away with less than 100 HP. He will go down. Sasa will finally fall. Will this be the fight? Nayo now the target, but Xiaoya will flash away and pick up that first kill. Moham barely missed out on the knockup, and now Xiaoya can go off here. It's a 2v3, but the health bars are on LGD's side. Blooming blows, gets dodged away from Moham looking for a knockup. He will miss, and the Make It Rain goes down into Linfeng as well. Swirl Seed connects. Linfeng's running the wrong way, buddy. He's going to try to dash through these minions, but will not last for long. Nayo picks up the kill, and LGD once again win the fight.
But look at how close that fight was, and they still got the Dragon. OMG are trying to hold out here. If they can get one more item on this Yasuo, it's going to be Infinity Edge finish for him. 3 items here for Starry. This game does not get easier for them, but I will say, if they're able to hit that power spike, maybe there's a chance. As we look at this replay, insane steal from Harry just to keep this game alive.
I don't know how he got it, honestly. As we go through the rest of this, a little bit separated. We're LGD, and I think that's what resulted in this Xiaoya staying alive really nicely in this fight. That's what actually, honestly, kept LGD from getting completely wiped.
I'm just so impressed by a player like Linfeng, despite what's happened in this series. The fact that he's been really flexible with some of his champions and even getting unique ones like the Smolder mid and the Mbessa mid, and now with the Yasuo, it feels like low-key getting some melee specialist vibes, but just doesn't really get enough time to play it in series. LGD, they just rip open this Baron. It's so fast from them.
Yeah, here comes the Nature's Grasp. Hung, can he pull off another Miracle Steal? It does a decent chunk of DPS, but the Baron will get taken down, and it is Nayo to secure it. Now Sasa in a beautiful spot on the front line, but here comes the dive. They go in onto Nayo, who's forced to go golden early. Bullet time comes out and will barely not burn down Linfeng. He will live for just a little bit longer. Harry with the dominance picks up a 1k shutdown, but Xiaoya and XQW are still alive, and the main 80 carries for LGD are going to be the ones to carry them throughout this team fight. They get the Baron and they get 4 more kills.
But what can they actually do with this? They'll be able to push on the top side. They're just going to recall. There's no TP. I mean, maybe XQW tries to find some honey fruit that are around. He's going to actually end up picking this mid wave along with Sasa. I think that is as good of a situation as you're going to get here for OMG. It's going to be the loss of some of their turrets, but their base, most importantly, will be safe when it comes to their Nexus.
It should be the top lane inhibitor at least. There's another Tier 2 in the mid lane will go down by XQW. Maybe they can turn that into a second inhibitor tower as well. The death timers, though, are coming up rather quick, so LGD have to get out before they take that second inhib.
All right, smart play. Good job coming out from them. They'll get their resets in, and they'll be able to have this Baron for the entire duration of the rest of the clock here before another Ocean Dragon spawns. Items being completed here, and Grapes... This replay, man, just how close is this? I know we keep saying this. I know LGD are in a massive position to win this, but you just see certain moments here, specifically like Moham and Linfeng getting into this backline. I'm looking at Harry on this Renekton, just being able to almost barely live through so much, even with Asterix and his Dominus. It's a lot of gold going their way. It's still 8,000 now in favor of LGD, but these fights are getting more realistic for them. My problem is I'm just still this Udyr, man.
The Udyr, he still lived for a long time. That was the first time he actually died, and that's a big one here. Teleport comes in though. They already burst down Starry, but here comes Linfeng and OMG find the kill on Xiaoya. YCX is going to go down as well. It's going to be a 2-0 in favor of OMG. Now the target is going to be Sasa. They look for Nayo as well. XQW is low. He rocket jumps away, barely dodging away from the knockup of Moham. And Sasa on the Udyr is now unstoppable. Here comes Nayo as well. Underneath the tier 2 tower they go. Guardian Angel already parked onto Harry. They're fighting 2v3, but still Starry's alive. He gets a shutdown onto the Udyr, and he gets himself another. They go way too far forward, and OMG keep themselves alive at the cost of another inhibitor going towards XQW.
Okay, but 20 seconds, and look at how long these death timers are. Sasa and Nayu will not be alive for this dragon. And now, OMG, they just need to race out of the base. Tristana can actually just be here and take this dragon immediately by herself. They're not going to get here in time. OMG are going to lose the Ocean Soul.
Yeah, just too far behind at this point. I mean, Hung,
XQW hit this!
He's running.
No!
He's running right now. I don't know if that's going to happen. We're going to a replay just to see what happened here in this one. Big fight from Starry, barely able to survive off of this initial play. And then it's just an overdive from LGD.
What is Xiaoya doing? This is now 2 different MF ults where we're like, wait, what's going on with the positioning here? I'm just looking at this and, hey, who cares about this replay? Ocean Soul on the table. Harry down to half HP from that combo.
Time. It takes Starry down to half HP. Chain of Corruption lands onto the Misfortune, but they don't do much with it. This is going to be sold for LGD, as OMG don't want to lose the game over potentially flipping another Smite fight. So extra healing, extra sustainability for LGD. They continue to add to their lead. But now you're starting to wonder a little bit here, Hulk. I know we thought it was going to be LGD favored from the start of this game. But they can't afford to make any more mistakes. This is the breaking point for them. They need to be able to close out a series against a team like this, and they have the opportunity to do so right now.
If they can't close out a game where they have Ocean Soul and they end up losing this game, I think I can't ever believe in this LGD team. I'm sorry. I think that the fans at home can't believe in an LGD team like this. Yes, it is a bunch of rookies, but games like these are so easy to play out, and we're just seeing stumbles every now and then. Still very large gold lead for them, like you were mentioning. And we're getting, it's so hard to play because you're trying to reinforce on this side of the map. You're trying to defend this last tier 3, but I mean, there's a Tristana, there's these double marksmen. All of these structures fall like paper in front of them.
Oh, Linfeng! He finds a knockup on XQW. Chunks him down to about 1,000 health. Xiaoya still untouched in the back line. And look at Nayo in the middle of the entire enemy base. And that's the team fight that LGD were looking for. One more jump forward from XQW to seal the deal. LGD, it looked a little bit scary here that they threw that first game, but they have looked dominant against OMG over the last 2, and they will pick up their first series win of 2025 Split 2.
Out of 5 games, they now get to have a 1-0 record.